Look out, folks, here comes Tommy the Troll. He's a know-it-all about UFOs. He's got shit brown skin and a cold dead stare. He can't identify anything in the air. He doesn't care if he's wrong or right. He's gonna scream his points all day and night.
Balloon, balloon, CGI, another hoaxer, I hope they die. I'll chew them up and I'll spit them out, but all I'm really doing is riding on their cloud. Lens flare, satellite, I'm gonna debunk hoaxers till the day I die. I was there, Roswell was just a balloon. People who say otherwise is just a buffoon. I was even there for the Phoenix Lights. It was a bunch of helicopters giving people the frights. I've been busting figures for millions of years. When hoaxers hear my name, it brings them to tears. But I'm too lazy to find UFOs, so I debunk others' work on my LiveStream shows. Super chat, super chat, super chat. Gonna ride this wave till I get big and fat. You better not post any UFOs, cause look out, bitch, here comes Tommy the Troll. I'm Tommy the Troll. I troll them so that you don't have to.
Yeah, I'm Tommy the Troll, and I troll 'em so you don't have to. I don't know what happened over there earlier with Amy. I think she might have fallen asleep. I hope it's just something like that and that she's okay. I guess we'll find out later. But now we are over here. So I think I'm going to play that intro song for one more time until people get here. But we're also going to put the link for you guys to call in. So look for the StreamYard link in the chat. And if you want to call in and ask questions, you can.
Look out, folks, here comes Tommy the Troll. He's a know-it-all about UFOs. He's got shit brown skin and a cold dead stare. He can't identify anything in the air. He doesn't care if he's wrong or right. He's gonna scream his points all day and night.
Balloon, balloon, CGI, another hoaxer, I hope they die. I'll chew them up and I'll spit them out, but all I'm really doing is riding on their cloud. Lens flare, satellite, I'm gonna debunk hoaxers till the day I die. I was there, Roswell was just a balloon. People who say otherwise is just a buffoon. I was even there for the Phoenix Lights. It was a bunch of helicopters giving people the frights. I've been busting figures for millions of years. When hoaxers hear my name, it brings them to tears. But I'm too lazy to find UFOs, so I debunk others' work on my LiveStream shows. Super chat, super chat, super chat. Gonna ride this wave till I get big and fat. You better not post any UFOs, cause look out, bitch, here comes Tommy the Troll. I'm Tommy the Troll. I troll them so that you don't have to.
Yeah, I see that the NTSB MIB went ahead and hacked my mic there. You see how they're already trying to get a hold of us? It's crazy. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, you can hear me now. Why do they do that to us? I just don't get it. But if you guys want to join the stream, go ahead. The link is in the description. It's right over there in the chat. It's pinned to the top. You guys can come on in, ask me anything you want. I might even answer it. We don't even have any music today. I don't like that. Let's get some music going. That's definitely what we need. A little music, little candle lights. Maybe get Jeremy, Lockheed, Martin, Corbell, Canyon, blah, 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 blah. Get him in here. He can look at us with those crazy eyes and whisper sweet nothings into our ears while we go ahead and listen to some fine Barry White or something. That sounds like a great day, doesn't it? Woohoo! Let's see what happens if we play some music. It probably won't go over well, but we'll try. Like I said, if anybody wants to come in and ask me any questions, go ahead and throw them out there in the chat. Come on and join the stream. The link is in the description. And yeah, it'll be a good time. We'll hang out. It'll be fun. Who doesn't like hanging out with the troll? I mean, I've got this magnetic personality, and the way that my skin glistens in the daylight. Oh, isn't it something beautiful? It's like a nice diamond just glittering and glinting. No, you're right. It's kind of creepy. Oh, we get some music now. Hopefully it's not too loud. I got some funky troll moves. Yeah! Woo! Come on, someone's got to have a question for me out there. You don't just want to watch me dance for an hour, do you? That's silly. There's so many better ways to spend your time, but you really want to watch a troll dance and laugh and giggle. Okay, whatever. I got some sick dance moves. Oh no, Batman's here. Joker called. Said he needs his underwear back. Wait, how's that joke go? I don't even know it. Well, Batman's here anyways. Hello. Well, if you don't know someone, ask him questions. I'm a troll. Just ask me questions. What do I think about there's a good one. Let's take this one. Gray Lancer asks, what does a troll think about the existence of the Men in Black? Well, if you're asking whether I think they're real or not, I think that if you look at a guy named Lou Elizondo, you're going to figure out that they're real. Of course, he's one of them. He's one of those agents. He's one of those guys working for the military-industrial complex. He works for all those bad people that do bad things in the name of national security. So yeah, that's kind of what I think. I think they're real. I think they're out there. I think they just have a different face nowadays. They look like Lou, and then they look like the people who work for Lou, like Jeremy, Lockheed, Martin, Northrop, Grumman, Hopscotch, Hula Hoop, name is too long, Corbell. So yeah, Men in Black are real. Coral Ann asks, Tommy, do you shed your glistening skin once a year? Do I shed my skin? I don't shed it. I actually donate it to science. They do cool things with it. Oh, it looks like somebody's joining the stream here. Let's take a peek who this is. Is your mic good back there? Can you hear me in the back? Is your mic okay? You're not going to blow us out. All right, we'll bring you in. Everybody, say hello to Gutter.
Hi, Tommy.
Hey, what's up, Gutter? I can't see you, man. You're in the dark, dude. You're lurking. I'm the troll and you're lurking, man. What's up with that?
I'm hiding.
You're hiding?
Yeah.
I can kind of see you, though. It's like you're there, but you're not. It's weird. But, you know, we'll go with it. What's up, dude?
What's up?
Nothing. I'm just chilling and killing. Woo, woo. What are you doing today?
Long time no see.
You're doing what?
There's like a echo. I don't know why.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, we lost the music. That sounds better. Now we can hear each other. Whew, that was bad. Oh, my big trollers. Look at these things. They're freaking huge, man. Like when that music starts bumping, like I like the bump. I'm like, boom, boom, boom.
Hey,
But
Tommy,
it hurts.
Area 503, I said hi.
Yeah, he's going to be here later, but he was running late. I don't know. Him, Amy, everybody's late today, but now I'm here. So that's what we get. I'll tell him you said hi, though, okay?
What do
So
you
did you
think
have any other
about
questions for me?
UFO?
What do I think about a UFO? I like UFOs. They're fun. I
Are
got
you a
3 in my
hater?
garage. Am I what?
Are you a UFO hater?
No, I love UFOs. Like I said, I got 3 in the garage, man. I got like an old TR-3B. I got like a classic 47 Roswell edition with pink fins. It's all restored in cherry, man. It's awesome, dude. I love UFOs. What about you? Do you like UFOs? I got a couple of used ones I can hook you up with if you want.
I have been seeing them since 2009.
You got your own? What model do you have? Is it a Tesla? Oh, I want a Tesla. They're so cool.
I have no idea what model they are.
Okay. I got you. TR-3B, right?
There's kind
Circular.
of a
You got an orb?
delay. I'm sorry. It's echoing.
Oh man, I can't help it. I'm in my troll cave. I know it looks nice because I decked it out. I just put up some new drywall, some new finish trim and everything. But really, right off of camera, there's like a deep, dark, stinky cave, man. But I do what I have to for my fans. I gotta spruce it up a little bit before I get on camera, right? Everybody wants to put their best mustache forward.
You look like the guy from Goof On. Are you the Goof On guy?
No, I'm not that guy. That guy's cool, man. Come on. Hey, now, I'm the troll here, not you. What are you doing?
Are you sure?
Yeah. Let's see what Dark Sky says here. Look. Some conspiracy theorists claim that governments are hiding evidence of alien contact. Why should governments want to hide this information? Well, that's a pretty good question, and I think it kind of goes back to when they learned when they first learned about it, right? What do you think, Gutter?
I don't think the government knows anything. I think they know as much as everybody else does.
Okay. You see, I tend to think that they've known for a while, at least Roswell. And if that's true, then they would never admit it. And definitely not now, and they don't want to tell everyone that they've had a upper leg as far as technology goes, or an
Have
upper
you ever
hand.
worked in the government before?
But remember, we're not talking about them. We're talking about their special access projects. We're talking about Halliburton and Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin and those guys
involved in those things. It's called human beings, and human beings leak things.
Yeah, well,
if there was such a thing as Roswell, it would have been leaked like very big by now.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, either one's possible. We have no proof. I mean, there's tons of people who have said it, but they just don't have the evidence. So, but then again, neither does the government. Every piece of evidence that they have is kind of a lie.
Myself that see these things constantly in the sky. I'm always trying to tell people on social media it's real, but everybody thinks it's a joke.
Well, yeah, I understand that. Everyone thinks they're a troll. Everyone wants to be like me. I'm too damn cool.
Not a troll. I said a joke. Everybody thinks it's a joke when it's not.
I don't think so now, man. They got him on 60 Minutes, man. Remember, the dialogue has changed thanks to Time Magazine's 60 Most Influential People of the Year, Mr. Lou Elizondo. Blah.
But he hasn't been shown to be a real person yet. So you really can't use him as a source.
I don't use him as a source. I don't believe a thing the guy says. He just blah, 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 blah. I've seen fortune cookies that have more credibility than that guy. I mean, come on.
Constantly, and they're real everywhere I travel in the world. They're there.
They are. Well, I agree, man. I don't think that UFOs are fake. I know they're real. Like I said, I got 3 in the garage. I'm not sure who you're trying to convince here. It's not me.
Though, besides your UFOs in the garage, what do you think they are?
What do I think they are? I don't understand.
Are they from Earth? Are they from a different dimension? Are they from?
Well, they're unidentified. They could be from anywhere, right?
A lot of people claim that they're demons from hell.
Well, people can claim that the Earth is flat or that I'm a cute troll. That doesn't make it so. I'm sorry. There's realities here. Come on, things you can say whatever you want, and it falls in the realm of belief, not scientific theory. Really, you got to look at evidence before you have anything that's beyond a belief, right? But if that's what you're asking, I believe that they could be from anywhere, right? I mean, there's UFOs could be from other planets. They could be things that we made. They could be other life forms. They could be other beings. They could be energy. They could be natural phenomenon. They could be tricks of light. They could be any number of things. That's why they're unidentified, right?
Well, hopefully we might know in this lifetime.
I didn't catch that last part. We were breaking up a little bit.
I'm sorry. There's an echo. I'm just saying, I hope we find out in this lifetime.
I hope so too. It'd be nice for you human beings to get clued in on what the rest of the universe already knows about. You guys can come into the fold anytime you want. You just got to have the political will to do so as a planet, and it'll happen. So, hey, we got somebody else here. Let's see who's here. Buddy's here. Let's say hi. Buddy, is your mic working good back there? Yeah, it looks good. Let's add him in.
What's going on,
Buddy?
Everybody? Yo. Hey, just real quick, I remember hearing in one of Lou's many interviews that he said the technology that we're seeing today would probably take us about 100 years to get to. So if you take that into account of Roswell, there's 70 years right there. So who knows, what some of this like Tic Tac stuff is and everything. It could be ours. Right? What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think that's true, man. If they've been backwards engineering and stuff for years, then that could definitely be ours. If you look at some of the battery technology that like NASA uses in their satellites, it's about 20 years ahead of your cell phones and things like that, the same types of technologies. So It would make perfect sense that they have advanced spacecraft, weapons, whatever, all that stuff that they build behind closed doors. When they say that they've got weapons that'll amaze you and shock and awe, I believe them. I do believe them, and we don't know what that stuff is, but they could have other things. They could have all this stuff and it just have been waiting for the rest of the world to get close to discovering it before they announce that they've had it and refined it all along. That way they can charge them to use it. That's why they put patents on it. It's all about the money.
Yep, you got it. The Navy patents, right? They patent it. So, and I'm not saying all the UFOs are ours, like Roswell, I'm saying it's reverse tech, because people get mad when you say that kind of stuff. They're like, no, what about way back when? I'm like, yeah, that is where we got the technology from. That's where we got a lot of stuff, fiber optics, and the list goes on. I'm sure and I'm glad. I mean, if you're serious about your loose stance, I'm pretty proud of you there, man. Because a lot of people, that's not a good stance to take on Uncle Lou. You know what I mean?
It's controversial, and I understand that when you take a stance on a controversial subject, you're going to get some heat. But you know what? Fuck Lou Elizondo. That guy is a liar, pants on fire, big fat pile of poo. Sorry, It's just true. That's how I feel about it. All the way from the beginning, from day one. He hasn't done anything good. He lied and got 3 little pieces of footage, and that's it. Everything else has been a story that's been copied from Greer, Colonel Corso.
It's easy to say. You don't know, man. Come on, dude.
It is easy to say. It's easy to prove. You just look at what he said. Show me anything that he's brought out other than the 3 original pieces of footage.
I don't trust him either.
What has he brought out as far as evidence? Daniel Snowden brought out evidence.
Social media, that's for sure.
Hold on, Gutter. Well, let's talk about evidence. Let's talk about evidence. What did he bring out? What did Lou Elizondo bring out? Go Flare, Fast, and Gimbal, which was later named Tic Tac. That's it, right? Has he brought out anything else that I'm unaware of? Does he have additional footage? I don't think so. Everything else has just been a story.
He brought up the 60 minutes thing. To get it to 60 minutes is a pretty big deal, to be honest.
Is it?
Is it? UFOs. He got it to that. He got it to that.
I don't know. I think 60 minutes you can get on if you got a bunch of money. And if they're not going to ask any questions, they'll just let you sit there and say whatever the heck you want. Just like every other one of those big media companies. They're all owned by someone. But yeah, I don't think it's that big of an accomplishment. He says a lot, but if you go back and drill back into ufology for the last, 20 years, you're going to see that everything he said has been copied from somebody else, whether it was Greer at the Disclosure Project, project or whether it was Bob Lazar or Colonel Corso. It doesn't matter. He just will grasp at anything and throw it against the wall until something sticks. And that's why I just don't with that guy. I'll be like, well, I might agree with you on this one little thing, but you can't prove it.
Look at music. Everything is a copy of a copy of a copy. It's the same thing with UFO Twitter and UFOlogy on YouTube.
Did you know that Lou Elizondo worked with the special access programs after ATIP? Did you know that when he requested those 3 pieces of footage, he was actually not with ATIP? Did you know this?
It's real. Really,
do you want to see the documents? The research is out there. It's all on the internet. The guy was working for a special access management program after ATIP. That was what he was doing when he requested those 3 pieces of drone footage that he told the Pentagon were drones and not for publication, and he took them to the TTSA.
Like a super bad echo. I'll call back.
I don't know. I stick to my gun, man.
Yeah. I'm not as I think that guy had like two things on at once. You know how when you come on your show, there's also he's got to turn that one off. Just a little tip for you guys. But anyway, I'm not that hard on Lou. I think he is a plant, but in a good way, meaning he's here to guide us along. I don't think he's telling us the full truth, but yet I think he's here to do the right thing. But you had a great point when you brought up about the past. This sounds exactly like we went through the last couple times. If you go to any of these books, such as the one by Major Keyhole, I believe it's called "The Flying Saucers Are Real." That book sounds like it could have been written today, just with all the cast of characters and the whole storyline. It matches up pretty darn good, man.
Right. They haven't brought anything new out other than some supposed authentic footage, which we know that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of those sightings in those classified military files, even though that stuff doesn't need to be classified. They do it by choice. But it's all in there, and it's nothing special. We see better on the internet every day than Corbell and Lou brought out. We see better. It's shot by people who are looking, not people who have an agenda. So that's I just got where I feel with that guy. He and his I don't want to say deep state, but his ties to the defense industry are very apparent, especially when the guy squirms when his security clearance gets threatened. It's like, well, gee, why? You don't need a security clearance to work at McDonald's or at the supermarket. But you do if you want to go work for Northrop or, one of those companies. And I think that's where he's working right now. I can't. Obviously, how can you prove it? You ask the guy, he's not just going to say, yeah, I'm actually on the Northrop dime. He won't say that.
A lot of people are on the Lou diet right now. Yeah, they're on the honeymoon phase and everything. But I mean, they got to take stock and take a good look. I mean, that's part of it. He has you want to love the dude so much. I mean, he's so cool. And you know what I mean? He's the perfect guy for this kind of thing, I think.
It's almost like he's a spy or something, or he's good at getting people to like him or manipulate people. Gee, it's almost like he was trained by the military to do that for 22 fucking years and did it. I don't get it.
Right. You're so right. And I try and say that to people, and I get ousted, man. I get, people are like, oh, blah, 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 you're just da-da-da. I'm like, look, I'll hear your opinion. Prove me wrong.
Sorry to cut you off. Manny just got here. I'm gonna put a video on. I want to come back and talk to you. Manny said he wanted to talk to you about that. We're gonna put a quick video on, and we'll come right back, guys. We'll come back. We'll talk to Buddy some more about this. The link is in the chat if you want to get in on this conversation. Join the stream. But for now, what are we gonna watch? Oh, we're gonna watch the. What are we going to watch? Oh, we're going to watch the music video. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be right back. Oh, sorry. Manny will be right back. That's a little preview of the Dancing Alien for you all. That's coming up on the dance party on Area 503. I have a clip that I can play of that for you folks later, too. A little preview, but we're back. I'd like to thank Tommy for standing in a little bit and apologize to you guys for what happened earlier with the stream over at Alien Girls. We'll figure out what happened there and get it fixed so that next time we hook up, we can put a show on for you guys and we'll get the interview. But some of you have come on over here. So if you guys want to talk about anything, go ahead and join the stream. The link is in the description there or pinned to the top. It should be. If it's not, let me know. But for now, we got Buddy here. Buddy, what's up, man?
Hello. How is it? Hey, yeah, have you got in touch with Alien Girl?
I haven't heard anything from her. I sent her a link and, actually that reminded me, I needed to send her another one for this one on Twitter, and I'll do that here in a second. In case she gets it and wants to come on by. But I haven't heard from her yet. So,
Okay.
like I said, hopefully she's okay. I assume she just probably took a nap and slept in, like we all do sometimes, hopefully. So you were talking earlier about how you kind of question Lou Elizondo, and I wanted to touch, on that a little bit because it's something that I've noticed quite a bit, specifically on UFO Twitter is one place where it gets really bad, and Facebook is another, but it tends to generally be stuck to social media, like where people are commenting on the mainstream media. And I've noticed it since day one when I come out against Lou. People are like, "Oh, you're dumb, you're stupid." And I've asked every time I ask people, I'm like, "Can you show me evidence that can change my mind? Show me any evidence." And they can't. They've got emotions and feelings, but not evidence. And I'm like, I don't need emotions and feelings. That's how these people, that's how manipulators and spies manipulate people, is with emotions and feelings, so I try to look at just the evidence. And so that's why I ask, do people have more documents? Do people have more sightings? But I wanted to tell you that it is something that I've experienced myself, and I'm pretty good at handling trolls and that kind of negative reaction. Like I'll try to talk to people. I give them a 3-strike rule where I try to communicate with them intelligently 3 times. But if they just continue to just blindly attack and whatever, then I'm just gone. I'm like, I'm out of here. This conversation's not going anywhere, and you just can't take it personally, which makes me kind of interested, like, why are people taking this so personally? Why are they so attached to, and people aren't really attached to Dr. Greer like that, like what we call the other side, like people like me. I've questioned Greer a lot over the years on a variety of things, but on the particular subject of Lou Elizondo, I'm Team Greer. I'm like, yeah, the guy's a freaking plan. It's plain as day. So I just don't get it. Like other people, I guess they see what they want to see, but still, how do people base their opinions? Like how do they, if they're unwilling to look at the evidence, how are they getting an opinion, that they want to argue with and call somebody else stupid over? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one because from, like you said, day one, I had questions about the guy, and I faced the same thing too. And it's supposed to be a community about openness and people actually having an open mind, but it's like the window gets shut right in your face almost automatically anytime you bring up something negative. And like I said before, I don't necessarily think it's maybe a bad thing. I think it might be even a good thing that he's a plant necessarily just out here to guide it along, but also that could be dangerous because he's guiding it along for not us, but for the government. And unfortunately, government just always leads to weapons of, they're just looking to weaponize it. So that's just my whole thought. And it's scary. People should take a deeper look, man.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that people should be taking a deeper look. This is ufology, and we went from, having a level of evidence and scrutiny where, like, Stan Friedman would go and debunk an MJ-12 document because they put a period in the date instead of a dash or vice versa, and that wasn't how the military did it in that year. Like, that's the level of scrutiny that people used to hold things to. But now we've got all over the media, Lou Elizondo, Jeremy Corbell, and previously Tom DeLonge. Now George Knapp, and they're just saying whatever the heck they want, and there's no journalistic responsibility to vet any of it. None of it. I mean, they're talking about all kinds of things now that are just off the frickin' wall. And like we were talking about with Elizondo earlier, that guy's the master of it. If you give him 2 hours with you, he'll tell you 5 things you want to hear, not just one. And that's his job. That's why he's good at what he did. That's why he did what he did. I'd still like to know what that guy did before ATIP. He was at, we talked about the special access management program that he was at after ATIP, and that's where he was at, where he screwed the Pentagon, where he filed for the those 3 pieces of footage and lied to him and all that. But he really abused his rank there and should have suffered some consequences and hasn't. So that tells me that he's got some very, very strong and powerful friends within the military, within the Pentagon itself, who are looking out for him, but their reach is probably limited, but that means he's on the job for them. He's working for somebody.
Yeah, the only thing I have about that, I thought Mellon was the one who came out from the Pentagon with those 3 videos. Wasn't it Mellon?
No, I've got a document that Lou Elizondo had filed for.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It was a redacted document, and I have the unredacted version that shows Elizondo's name. So Mellon may have
not know that.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I can. I don't know if I can share documents, but maybe I can. Let me see if I can do that here.
So thank you.
Doesn't say that I can. It says I can share my whole other screen, but maybe I can just pull it up on there. Let me see. In fact, I was just looking at it last night because I had made a copy of it for someone.
That's crazy. And also, what about Corbell? What about that last video he put out? To me, it looked like 3 freaking jets flying around at nighttime.
Yeah, most of his stuff does just look like jets. Gutter, if you can hear me, I'm going to bring you in, but I'm going to mute you off for a second or get to push to talk or something because we had an echo last time you were on. Check your mic when you come in.
What's up, Gutter?
What's up, guys?
It's not too bad. It sounds okay now. Do you got an echo on your side?
It sounds way better.
Okay, let me add this in so we can. This is the document that we were talking about. Can y'all see that?
I'll mute my mic.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good size.
So you got the title is Go Fast, Gimbal, and FLIR. Those are the 3 original pieces of footage. And in the subject area, he's notifying the Pentagon that these are unmanned aerial vehicles, balloons, or other unmanned aerial systems, which is unmanned aerial systems are like the Predator drones and, like our big weapon systems. And under the presentation area, he says right here, not for publication, research and analysis only, and information sharing with other U.S. government and industry partners for the purposes of developing a database to help identify, analyze, and ultimately defeat unmanned aerial system threats. And then it's signed right here, Luis D. Elizondo.
Nice. You know what?
Is
this the one with the phone number in it? Because I remember.
Right there.
Yeah. Have you ever tried calling that phone number?
As a matter of fact, I just called it last night.
Yeah, it's a weird number. You get a weird thing it's weird.
It went to a voicemail box. It says that the voicemail is full or it's not set up to get voicemail or something like that.
Yeah,
so
it's a weird number, whatever it is. Because I tried calling a couple times throughout the day, different times, and it's I don't know. I think it finally cut me off. It got tired of me calling.
Yeah. I don't think it's probably just a dead number at the Pentagon, but yeah, Gray Lancer, that's legit. I got the link for the original. I think it was what's his name, John Greenwald at the Black Vault, who got that with a FOIA request. Got that one. But yeah, it's been going around. The redacted version was going around for quite some time, but that one's been out for a couple of months now. The full version. But yeah, that shows his intentions, and there's a timeline there. If you look at the dates. Elizondo posted his resignation letter. I think it was the end of August. And then he went, I think he went on with TTSA like 7 days later or something like that with that footage.
That's a whole weird thing too.
Yeah. And if you look at that full document that I just had there's some other email exchanges there where you can kind of get a feel for the guy. Cause he's talking about, how this is a business as usual type of transaction to get this footage, and, he's using some keywords that are like, it's hard to explain, but he's trying to kind of attaboy somebody for doing what he wants. And there's some military pressuring, maybe it's not military, maybe it's just like social pressuring, things that people use that he was doing. But yeah, Gutter, you want to say something, dude? You can unmute your mic, dude.
Sorry, I had my mic muted. I apologize.
No, it's cool, man. We had some feedback earlier.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you, man. What'd you think about that document? Did you see what I had up there?
Well, I saw it, but the one thing I want to say about Lou Elizondo, I don't know the man personally, but if he was so into UFOs and was such a threat to humanity, as a lot of UFO YouTube shows and podcasts are saying, then why didn't he whistleblow? No, he should have come out a long time ago and said, "Hey," while he was asking, he said,
"I've asked that question too." Gutter, I've asked that same question. Why did you bring out?
Now, it makes me think that he's like a monster, like sort of like a Tom DeLonge or a Rich McDonough.
Gutter, I've asked that same question. Why, if he was truly a whistleblower, to the magnitude of Snowden, why didn't he bring out the level of evidence that could not be argued? Why did he bring out 3 pieces of junky footage? And that's because he's, in my opinion, he's not a whistleblower. If he wanted to, he could have. He's not. He's stated multiple times that he's not asking for the military to release anything that's classified, but he wants disclosure. And we're like, come on, man. We all know all the stuff that we want is classified. Otherwise, we'd have access to it already. The guy just kind of double talks and says, what he wants to say when he wants to say it. And that's part of him doing his job, which is getting you to agree with him. That's his number one job. Get you to agree with him. Just on one little bit, put that little bit of doubt in your mind that, hey, if he's right about this, maybe he's right about all this other stuff. Maybe he is on my team. He's not, man. He's not on anybody's team. And I'm calling it now. In 2 years, he's going to dip out of the scene once he gets what he wants, either, a spot in Congress, or he's been outed by somebody, like me or Goofon or people or Dr. Greer who keep calling him out, and we will. I'm not going to stop till the guy goes away, but I do want to stop talking about him because I'm already sick of it. I'm just sick of it. I get angry when I see his double talk and the bull crap that I know is bull crap that he, is contradicting something he said 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago or 2 minutes ago. It just, if anybody really, really, really watched all of his footage, you'd see he's good at one thing. That's it, man. That's it. It's all talk.
He'll tell you the same thing. He'll tell you the same thing 5 different ways in an hour, and that's how he fills the time. If you notice, he'll go off about some cars or you know how he does. I don't have to explain it, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to get the feeling more and more and more that ATIP was just a little pet project where he got to run around at the military and pretend that he was Agent Mulder in the war zones and in the other, in the training theaters, and show up on boats with a DID, intelligence thing on, and pretend that he was, some kind of X-Files thing. But it really wasn't that. I mean, if you look at how the money was spent for that project, it was funneled to people like Bigelow. It was wasted on Fly and Lou's dumbass around. It's not. It was a pet project, and now he's an egomaniac that wants it back. He wants it back. He wants you and me and Gutter. He wants you, Gutter, to go to work and pay more fucking taxes so that he can go jerk around and play Mulder on your dime. That's what he wants. All right? I'm sick of it, man. I pay enough in taxes, don't you?
I feel you. I understand. Area 503, I've always got your emotion from the beginning, man. You know me. We've talked before. You are a cool person. I respect your view on these things.
Yeah, and I'm no Lou fan, but you know what? That's nothing compared to how much Tommy dislikes the guy. I'll tell you what. That dude is hardcore. I would not fuck with Tommy the Troll if I was you. Anyhow, so that's Lou. We had Tom DeLonge first, and that's kind of an interesting one too, because I was thinking about DeLonge and how he bailed, right around the time that TTSA, he got his money from his stock sales there and went and did the Angels and Airwaves thing, and then all of a sudden you got Jeremy Corbell step up.
Angle. They needed Tom DeLonge to sell it. There was TTSA. They were selling stock. Yeah.
Well, there was a shift there too, and it was right when Lou, it was December, right? It was right after the election that Lou announced that he was leaving, and I think that his partners may have suspected how the election was going to be finalized, and they're like, "Oh God, we gotta shift gears." There's gonna be somebody else in there that we thought, or maybe not. Maybe it was just a coincidence that the end of December is when Lou announced that he was leaving TTSA, and everything kind of shifted, and they went from the TTSA angle to the now what they're doing with Corbell and Knapp, hitting the mainstream again and doing the mystery wire stuff and all that. But whatever, they're doing their best. They're doing their best. And, a lot of people see through it, and, we're doing them a service by sitting here talking about it in a public forum, but this is the United States of America where I live, and that's my right to do so. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to be outraged by it, because a small portion of that money that those guys are taking every year, that keeps growing, that sum of unknown money that goes to these special access projects, some of that's mine. Some of that was taken from me, and that makes me mad, so I don't know. I hope it makes other people mad and they keep talking about it, and calling out Lou, buddy, just know you're going to take some heat sometimes, but shrug it off. It's personal. For some people, that doesn't mean you got to make it personal. You know what I mean?
What about the three? Remember, I hate to bring this up, but remember September 10th, 2001, when Rumsfeld went on and said, oh, yeah, by the way, we're missing over like $3.1 trillion. And that was the last you ever heard of it. And it's
I'll never forget it.
Huh?
I'll never forget that.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, what's you do?
Yeah. Well, what is shocking is that number is up to about 23 trillion from what I heard last.
I thought it'd be more. That doesn't surprise me at all, man. It's just, I'm surprised it's even that low. But who knows? I mean, even that could be it's just who knows what we're stepping in.
Simple math, 23 trillion, from 3 trillion over 20 years is $1 trillion a year. And that's roughly $2,000 a minute. If you break it down, it's a horrifying number when you wrap your head around it. And especially when you see the federal deficit is growing every year, and that's money that is partially causing that, if not responsible for a big chunk of it. That's a substantial amount of money, just for reference. I mean, $1 trillion in 1 year. I mean, Elon Musk said he could build enough gigafactories to, basically fuel the planet for free with batteries for less than that. I mean, it's ridiculous. And, but it is a significant amount of money. So people need to factor that in, that the people who are getting that, they see that as a benefit, as a right now. It's not a privilege, if you know what I mean. They feel entitled to that money and are, going to ask for more. They're going to ask for more. Is it any, if you look at things that happen geopolitically, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Here we are, we're leaving the endless war in Afghanistan, and the military industrial industry is like, oh my God, we need to make some more money. Well, let's come up with something else to have a reason to spend money or to ask for more money. And it might not be as direct as weapons to fight aliens, but it might be some secret money to study them, like they claim. Well, they got money for ATIP, and they gave it to Bob Bigelow, and he gave us squadoosh. He gave us nothing. 11 million, I think Bob got from ATIP. And what did he show us for it? Nothing. He squandered it on one press conference where he made some claim that he had off-world metals. And remember, there was like a blip in the media for like 4 days, and that was it. We're like, where'd that go?
It's crazy. Not to mention, and for what I don't think it's anymore. I don't think it's just because they don't think we can handle it. There's other life and, anything like that. I don't think it's that anymore. What could be so secretive that could keep it from, over almost going over 70 years now, right? What is it? What is it? I understand also, keep it away from, Russia, China, blah, blah, but it's got to be something bigger than that. I don't think we pulled the lens back far enough to try and see actually what the hell it is.
Yeah, well, there's two parts to that, I think, and one of it is that they don't want to admit that they've been lying for however long they've been lying, whether it's 2 years or 80, they don't want to admit to it. And there's a number of reasons for that. They don't want to admit that they had technology that could have helped the rest of the world in a beneficial way and kept it for themselves. Imagine that on a geopolitical level. We're supposed to be the United States of America. We're supposed to set the bar as far as morals and ethics go. But, in reality, that doesn't always happen. The other part is that if they're worried that a foreign nation or another competitor, in another country is going to come up with that technology or duplicate it. Let's say we were flying a test plane down in Brazil in 2000 and it crashed. Well, they're not worried about Brazil backwards engineering it.
Years ahead of everybody else in the military technology.
Yeah. So they are. And we have been for a while. We have been. And then we sell our technology to our allies, or allow it to be sold. Now, that's an interesting thing, too. The tax code that was changed in 2017, I suspect, and I'm going to have to look, because in 2017, I noticed that one of the arms companies, and I think it wasn't Lockheed, I think it was Northrop. But Northrop, before that date, had been paying a 35% or so tax on foreign arms sales, which I think is should happen. If you're going to sell arms to our allies or whatever, that should in some way benefit the American people who gave you the research money to come up with those arms and to create them for our defense. Like we should get some of that, and a tax is a good way to implement that. But after 2017, that number went down to 0 from 35%. So now any arms that are sold to our allies are not taxed, or they're not paying them, or they stopped selling arms to our allies. I'm not sure exactly what it was. I figured it. I just assumed it was the tax code because that was the year that the tax codes were changed. But I'm going to have to research that to confirm it. But they're not paying tax on that stuff anymore. And that's another thing, so they're seeing that the war in Afghanistan is going to end and they're trying to grab more money the way that they can. Well, one way is to get some tax codes changed by, making some political contributions or however people get that stuff done, and then the other is to create another demand for your special access projects, which is our alien threat that we have going on, or whatever the hell Lou's game is, because it's not alien threat today, even though it was yesterday. And I don't even know, it changes every day, but it all just comes down to money at the end of the day. So that tells us what we need to know. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, buddy. No, go ahead.
And what makes you more money than funding one side of the war, funding two sides of the war? You know what I mean? They fund both sides of the war. It's crazy. It's crazy how they do, and nobody thinks about that. I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Tyler.
Funding both sides of the war. What about UFOs? They're looking above everybody all the time. Maybe they're the ones calling the shots.
Who knows? It's like I've heard it called compared to like 3-dimensional chess. It's who knows. You try and put all the pieces together, and it's crazy. We got people going like this all the time, and we need to go and streamline what we're thinking about. We all there needs to be a siphon of some sort to where we can come to a bottleneck instead of just going all over the place. Because to me, that's just free. We're killing ourselves at this point. That's free. The government doesn't have to worry about throwing stuff at us. We do it good enough ourselves. So that needs to stop.
Yeah, and it seems like, the last few years they've been really good at turning us on ourselves, whether it's for politics, ufology, whatever. They've gotten the people who would normally be on, kind of middle of the road, not extremely right or extremely left, and they're kind of polarizing all of us,
Sad. That's terribly sad. We're all human beings. No one's perfect. And when these UFOs decide to congregate and show up, we're going to have to show our metal, man.
No, I agree, man. I say it all the time. There's 7 billion people on this planet with 7 billion perspectives and opinions and things like that. And I'm very respectful of that fact. And I think people around the world are starting to coordinate a little bit more as we get more of this. Things like Starlink and I hate to say it, but Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and things like that. We can communicate better. It's not all bad. It's not all advertising. It's not all information data scraping for profit. There's some good that comes out of this. People can talk all around the world and coordinate, and people like us who are in the middle, who are, or in sometimes are in a, dissenting opinion. Like in this case, if you're against Lou, apparently you're evil. You're some kind of bad guy to be skeptical of this fucking spy, the stranger spy carrying gifts. Since when are you not skeptical of strangers bearing gifts?
Remember that crop circle? Remember the crop circle? Beware of a fall. What was it? Oh God, I wish I could remember. But I was like, okay. Well, I was like, okay, is it Trump? No, it's not Trump. But all of a sudden, here's Lou, and that is crazy, man. We need to bring more attention to that.
There are some similarities in the playbook, and I used the analogy the other day on Twitter about the playbook, and that kind of made me think that the people who were using those were the same in both cases, even though you've got two different situations, two different scenarios. But you can't argue about the similarities. But what's interesting is that, honestly, a lot of the people who seem to be diehard Lou fans seem to be more of like the liberal left type, and that's what's interesting. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like, how do we have these same?
I have to ask you a question. Sorry for interjecting. Why bring politics into the UFO?
Because we were just talking about the similarities to the political aspect of it. That's why I just brought that up. Because I'm not trying to politicize it, and I'm not trying to say it's one side or the other, because it's clearly not, and that's the point I'm making. It's clearly somebody behind it who's doing the same thing, but with different groups of people. Does that make sense, Cutter?
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not about politics. It's not about like, oh, one group's using this as a tactic. It ain't like that. I think people are being used. Honestly, I think they are. And it's when they take over cultures like UFO Twitter. I mean, what are you supposed to say? Like, there's a similarity to what happened there, and it's just like UFO Twitter shouldn't have never been a movement, and it seems like they're trying to be. Ufology as disclosure should be, but UFO Twitter shouldn't be a movement.
I don't have
Ufology
a
is
problem
so
with
much bigger
UFO
than UFO
Twitter.
Twitter.
It's just UFO Twitter is too much. They're
It's
all
a part
looking
of,
for the same common goal. They just want the truth. And the
but
truth is,
somebody isolated
and
that group. Somebody
it's a
isolated and targeted UFO Twitter, and I'm telling you who that is. It's it's Lou. It's the guy who's at the top of it right now. He targeted that group. There was a playbook. There's some kind of spy playbook that's like, you can get into this, this subculture if you do and say these things, if you drip feed these things and kiss these rings and talk to these people, go on these shows, it's like playing chess against a master, but it's not just a master. He's got deep thought and, Bobby Fischer and all of the fucking greats behind him helping him too.
Smart
But you don't
dude.
even see him. Yeah, but you don't see him. They're all coaching him. He's got everybody
But
behind him.
Manny, people have been thinking about these questions since the beginning of time, man. It isn't a common thing that we ask these questions.
I didn't hear. It was
Since
kind
the
of
beginning,
garbled.
since the beginning of time, we've been asking these questions. He was saying, I believe.
People have always been asking these questions about, dilemmas that we have currently.
Yeah, I think so. Also, Twitter. It's hard to do over Twitter only because there's no emotion there. Something gets lost in translation, and so that brings it into, instead of trying to get to the point, then you're discussing about how I hurt your feelings or you hurt my feelings, and so that sidelines it also. And that's the only thing I don't like about communication through text, because there's no feeling in it. And if that person on the other line is having a bad day, it's going to be a whole nother interpretation.
Yeah, you're right. Perspective does influence heavily, especially on forums where you're limited, like Twitter, to, a certain amount of space or responses. And, but still, like, I was on UFO Twitter before 2017, not very active in the community as a community very much, but I was still on there and saw what happened there. And there was never anything like the divide that there is nowadays. That didn't start until Lou really left the TTSA and really pushed towards UFO Twitter and online personalities and sites in general. And he used the excuse. He said, when I was at TTSA, they never told me that you smaller channels wanted to talk to me. Now I'm open to all you smaller guys. And we're all, like, people like me who are skeptical are thinking, no, you've already been played out on the mainstream. So now you're going to go troll all the little guys and make your move towards UFO Twitter and YouTube, which is, really what he's done since he left TTSA with Corbell and all that.
You're absolutely right. It's very convoluted. I agree with you 100%. And, that's why I seldomly talk to people like yourself, because I know who's legitimate, and you're very legitimate.
Yeah, I don't, like, when people bash me on Twitter because I'm talking about Lou, I don't really respond directly to them. I try to just, keep to the Lou thing. I'm like, in a lot of ways, I feel like they're kind-hearted, good people who are being misled, and you don't want to get angry at somebody because they're being misled. It's not their fault they're being misled. It's this asshole's fault for misleading them, and so.
You know what, Manny, I'm never going to get angry about this subject ever again. I know UFOs are 100% truth, and I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you.
No, it's okay, man.
I'm
no reason to get mad about it.
Honest about the subject, and it's a reality, and people have to accept it. And I don't know what else to do, Manny.
Well, they can accept it or not. Like, people are always going to be resistant for their own reasons. There's what's it called? Cognitive dissonance. It's where, somebody's, a concept is so shattering to how somebody views humanity, the world, the universe, that they can't really even conceive of it. They can't. So they block it out on an intellectual level, and human beings are capable of that. But we're also capable of working through that and using our higher thought process to rationalize things and to look at evidence and say, no, if there's evidence that says that there's alien life or that UFOs exist and that they're, not man-made, that they're from other planets or that they're, biological creatures or that they're from here, then you need to accept that, there's no reason to go back into a dark age where we just ignore science for 400 years. That seems kind of ridiculous, especially with all the technology we have now. But people will open up, and people are, maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe that's what the mainstream push has been about, to make it comfortable for people to talk about it. It's just too bad that it's Lou that's at the face, because now everyone thinks we're going to be attacked, and they do. People are like, oh, aliens are bad.
I just want to be on the record saying that UFOs are real. You have to accept it. It's all I want to do.
Okay, you're officially logged on the record as saying that UFOs are real.
All these TV shows that I watch and these YouTube channels that I watch and the podcasts I listen to, and they're all constantly speculating on what it could be. It's a reality, and people have to get used to it.
It's our God-given right to know this, if you think about it. I mean, this is being kept from us. That's not necessary, and that's what thing I think makes me mad over everything. This is our God-given right to know if we have so-called brothers and sisters out there of another race. I don't. That's not right. I mean, I just, that's the only really part that gets to me, and it's something we need to fight for.
Yeah, and you're right. And science is looking at it now, and they're saying, you look at all the new planets that we're discovering every day. That the James Webb Space Telescope is going to be going up in October, which is going to give us even more information. But as it is now, they already know that there's enough planets in the habitable zone that if we're alone in this universe, what a sad existence, just us alone in the universe, and we're left to fight over things like sports teams and imaginary lines and money and things like that. Give me a break, can't we leave all that crap behind and find a better way?
Man, that's what they teach you in most mysticism.
Yeah, we did it, or we need to stop what we're doing and take a look at it and recorrect the course, because this isn't working.
I think on a global level, we're heading there. I read a few years back about the Vatican and how they were trying to adopt a world model that, allowed for the Vatican Church and alien life, and basically they had realized back then that it's coming. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and they need to be prepared for it so that it doesn't basically destroy the church when it happens. And, if the church is thinking about it, then governments are thinking about it, and everybody at businesses are thinking about it. Everybody else is thinking about it, even if they're not publicly admitting it, so.
Well, when UFOs make themselves a reality to the rest of the world, religions won't really matter much.
Yeah. Do you think the church could be the next government? I just thought, for some reason, that just popped in my head when you were talking, they're going to, I don't know, maybe in the new age, who knows? And of course, it'd be a reconstruction or a totally different thing. It would mean a different thing, but who knows?
Let's see. Vatican finally allows public access to its secret UFO files dating back 1,400 years. News at 11. All right, perfect. There we go. Vatican's had UFO files for 1,400 years. News at 11 on Area 503. No, I don't know, man. They could, I kind of feel like in a way, if you look at churches like that kind of span the globe, in a way they kind of, and the Vatican already is they have their own little state, right? So they kind of are. They have their own government, and they kind of, they are and they are if you ever go and watch any of C-SPAN during Ash Wednesday, you'll see a lot of the people who are government employers, DoD brass, intelligence people like that will be showing up with ash marks on their forehead, in front of the hearings. And it's no secret that kind of runs to our government. Well, it kind of runs to all governments, pretty much everywhere. And there's Christianities everywhere. So is Catholicism. So is Islam, it's everywhere, so it's not really confined by borders, nations are, but religions aren't, and they're also not, they're kind of like corporations. They're not confined by treaties either, to keep that in mind, international treaties, government treaties, things like that. So churches can do things that governments can't, and so can corporations.
I think it's one big circle, because if you ask me, religion came from the stars, just from looking up and, such as, Orion's belt of three kings who point to the sunrise, the day Jesus rose again. If you look into it, it's just crazy how it becomes a full circle.
Yeah, there's got to be something to that. It's got to be something to that. And, there's been a need for, I think if you look back in humanity's history, like in the primitive times, there was definitely a need for religion and things to guide our actions, before people really, before laws and things like that, like you needed stories and things like that to
I think religion
share
came from
information.
people seeing UFOs, to be honest.
Sure.
Well, the ancient alien theories, that's possible, imagine if you're, 2000 years ago and a UFO comes flying down and a guy steps out that looks like a human being, you're probably going to freak out. You might think it was a deity, even if it wasn't, if it was a, an alien, even if it looked like us or similar, it's a possibility. There's something to that though, like if you look at all the major religions, there's common threads of stories. The flood is something that's in all religions that they talk about, the great flood. There's some other things about the visitation of Jesus Christ, in different forms or names and things like that. There's got to be something to those. Those can't all be stories. There's got to be some truth to that stuff. If everybody was talking about it who survived in different ways, then something happened. Because one religion could rewrite history, but three, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Manny, you know what's weird? I have to say one thing really quick now that you mentioned that. The common story that I've heard through generations is about giants. And they just found a giant in China or something. Somebody was.
Yeah. Well, here's what I know about physiology and planets. All right. Like if you had an Earth-like planet, you would have physiology that's similar to Earth because you have the same type of conditions. If you had an Earth-like planet, but the gravity was, half of what we have on Earth, but all the other conditions were like Earth, then you could have beings that were larger, or intense gravity could make smaller beings. Like it's, you look at like my cat who's back here napping, my cat versus a lion. And you can see how creatures can be bred down through selective breeding, but nature has a way of doing that as well based upon your environment, whether it's a harsh, extreme environment or one that has plentiful food or things like that. That's just nature doing its thing, But yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, God, I wonder if there's some planet where aliens are, keeping us as pets and shrinking us down to, that big to, so we don't eat a lot of food and can't tear up their couches. And, what I mean? Like, who knows, man? Anything could happen.
Right.
I kind of think of that old Star Trek episode with Q where they're going out into the universe and Q tells Picard, he's like, the universe is is full of many things, both wondrous and monstrous, and you're like, well, yeah, there could be extreme beauty, but there could also be stuff like in the Alien movie that'll rip your guts out and feast upon them. Like, I mean, we don't know what we're going to find out there. Microbial life, viral life, energy-based life, carbon or silicon-based life. I mean, we know of life as how we see it, but that doesn't mean the rest of the universe is going to see it that way. And we're not going to know until we get there.
And we also think we were bred to think the universe is huge, like endless, forever. But what if it's just simply small? What if we are just simply small? And then anyway, anything bigger like the size of us could penetrate and it would look like magic because they were the size and they could do anything. And to them, it's normal. But for us, it's like an ant, an ant. We interfere with an ant just for a second. The ant could be like, what the hell is that? And never see us again. It's kind of like on the same principle.
Yeah, and kind of like like when the first steamer ships and stuff and mechanized transportation became real prevalent in our culture, there were some isolated island nations and things like that where they got skipped by things like technological advances like boats and medicine and things like that. And that it might be something like that too. Maybe aliens pop up and they've like, hey, we've been going the same time, but we were right over there and look at what we did. You guys spent all this time building weapons and we were building regenerative machines and healthcare stuff, and we could live forever and travel the stars, and you guys are still fighting over gas. Maybe there's a Planet 9 out there with some superhumans on it who are just like way more evolved than us. Who knows? Might not be as far as we think.
There's so much can be involved, and we forget about the time equation. Like if they were to go away from our planet and come back, there have been thousands of years perhaps could have gone by, and they could make worlds like that, just think tanks, think farms, just planets that just totally think ideas for them, and then they get ideas from that, and then once they're done with us, say see you later, man. Who knows?
Yeah, time relativity is a real interesting one that we have to take into account when we start talking about alien species, but also when we're talking about sending people to Mars and, at some point sending people out of our solar system, which is where we're going to be going, which is why we're going to Mars. We're not going to stop there. But I mean, we could be talking 100 years down the road, or we could be talking 20. Things have been moving so fast lately that it wouldn't surprise me if we're on, if we're heading out to other solar systems by 2040 or something like that. What do you think, Gunner?
Well, like I keep saying, UFOs are here weekly, daily, monthly. It's about time. Eventually, we will have the technology to match. I'm just glad we have the weapons we do to be a deterrent that we can, because I don't know their intention.
Yeah, you're still I have a hard time getting through. I'm only getting about half what you're saying. It's like chop, 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 chop. But I think I got the part of what you're saying.
My bad. I'll call you back.
Yeah, no worries. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna let somebody else hop in here too. I've been hogging the stream, so I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, buddy. If you ever want to chat about that stuff, man, hit me up on YouTube or Twitter or whatever, man. And know that you got a friend in the fight, man, with Elizondo, and just keep your head up, man. You're going to take some heat for it. And knowing that will make it a little easier. It makes it easier to not take it personally, knowing that you're stepping into a controversial subject. And that's just the way it is, And,
I don't get mad over it at all. I mean, I honestly don't. I can't get mad over it because I understand what they're thinking. They want to grab and, what if I could be wrong too? So who knows? I can't, but I doubt it. But I can't get mad.
Nothing would make me happier than a year from now to say I eat all my words about Elizondo. Right. The guy was on the up and up, and everything he promised us came true. I would love to eat my words on that guy because the benefit for humanity and for disclosure and for ufology would be so great, But unfortunately, it just seems too good to be true every time he speaks, and he says the right things, but has nothing really to back it up. So I'm like, dude, just give me something here. I want to believe. It's like Colonel Corso the day after Roswell. I read his book and I'm like, dude, I want to believe what you say here. Where's the evidence? Anything. Give me a scrap of something to cling to. Otherwise, this falls under opinion. It's an opinion piece. It's not a documentary. It's not a factual piece. It's not real stories. It's some guy telling war stories, or some guy repeating a story that he heard somebody else tell, or something like that. It's not, you can't give it the same bona fides as you can a document with Lou Elizondo's name on it where he's asking for drone footage and saying he's not going to release it. You know what I mean? That's evidence.
Yep. And you're absolutely right. It works both ways. I mean, we have to verify, the stories that we hear, the information we digest about UFOs. We have to analyze that just as much as we analyze, what we think about Lou. And you said it, brother. I hope one day I'll eat my words about Lou. I mean, and it's hard. I like the dude. I honestly like the dude, and I don't think it's that bad. I just, like I said, I think he's out here to kind of guide us along, help us out, but I don't think we know the whole tune. So, but
yeah, I'm so wary because when a spy comes to you and is like, "Hey, dude, I'm your friend. I got this. Hey, dude, you got to do this. Hey," and you're like, "Nah, man, you're trying to play me, dude. You don't do anything unless you got something in it for you. You know what I mean? Like he ain't looking out for nobody but Lou and whoever that represents, unfortunately. Which should be you and me if he swore an oath. And if we're paying him." But I don't feel like it is. But again, maybe we'll find out, dude. Maybe in a year from now, we'll have a pizza party. We'll get Lou on the stream and be like, sorry. Man, I owe you a beer. Yeah, right. Sorry, dude. I don't know, man.
Hey, and
maybe not.
Do you find it kind of weird how he does all these shows? A man of his statue goes on all these shows, he does it so much. It's like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. It's like, who knows? Maybe I'm overthinking.
Oh, when he went to the smaller shows,
right? Yeah, he did like a million small shows everywhere. He gave people hour, 2 hours, and I thought
that was part of the shift that I talked about after he left TTSA and parted with Tom DeLonge. Is that he went to a different platform? He had done the mainstream thing for a bit, so he went over here and did what he was doing, and then pushed Corbell back onto the mainstream. You get what I'm saying? That's where Corbell went back on to 60 Minutes. That's where Corbell went back, or maybe not 60 Minutes, but he went on Tucker. He went on, CNN, I think. He's been on every other talk show that'll have him. So he pushed Corbell back out there because they had lost a longer, replaced him with Corbell for whatever reason. Probably that's a different story, but that all happened right around the time that Lou left, which was, again, the time when the election results were known. So it seems like their plans got a little upset there around election times, which, doesn't seem to have mattered. It didn't slow them down. It just shifted their direction. It made them change the way that they're going for, 4 years. And then maybe again, in another 4 years, they'll go another, who knows, but we'll see.
Do you think Tom DeLonge was ever supposed to do what Lou's doing now, and somehow things got that mixed up? You ever think Tom DeLonge was supposed to play the role?
Maybe. Yeah. I think maybe originally they had wanted him to do that, because if you look back at the Podesta email, it kind of seemed like he was stepping up to be the figurehead and the poster boy for this kind of thing.
Why not?
And I think that was just him selling himself to them, like trying to make them be like, hey guys, I'm on board. I'm a team player, obviously it wasn't Podesta who got a hold of him, but other people read that email, including me, and somebody knew what he was willing to do. So anybody who wanted to manipulate the guy, that could have, it could have been an FSB agent to come up to him and been like, yeah, I work for Pentagon. Yeah, here is footage of UFO. And he'd be like, yeah, guys, I got a secret source. He'd have ran with it, he probably wouldn't have vet it, but you never know. I mean, he went to George Knapp, and George Knapp did do all that because George Knapp knows what he has to do to cover his butt as far as being a reporter. There's a bare amount of authenticity you have to give your documents and your witnesses, and vet your sources and things like that, But so he went to Knapp to get the credibility, and then he went to Tom DeLonge. Now he's back to Knapp. He goes to Corbell. They're all kind of playing it together. And if you look now, also in the troll video I made, I mentioned how Lou is saying, he's like, oh, I don't want to be the leader of ufology. I don't want to be the leader of anything. And I'm like, I'm thinking to the last 5 ufology conferences and the posters that I saw for him, and he was right there with everybody, with Linda Mullen-Howe, with everybody. He was there with all the UFO celebrity talk people. Like, he was on the circuit, and I'm like, dude, if you don't want to do it, say no when they ask you to come do these shows, if they ask you to come sit on these panels. But he's not, because all those people who he's going and sitting with are friendly. You know what I mean? They're people like some of these people, man. When he was on the Black Vault, I was like, or Coast to Coast. I mean, like, some of these shows, I'm like, man, just grill this fucking guy, man. Give it to him. Like, you guys know, and you got the platform, and they're all just like, huh? Oh, that's interesting, Lou. That's interesting, Lou. And they're just letting him say whatever he wants and get away with it. After every single question, if Lou was on my show, my question would be, can you prove that? Can you prove that? Can you prove that? Okay, we're not going to discuss anything that you cannot prove, okay? Because we need evidence here, because, I'm assuming that the guy is going to lie about everything because he's a spy.
Right.
But then again, he's proven me right too, because he's lied about so much, it's just, whatever.
Hey, listen, I subscribed and I hit that bell, man. Can't wait till the next time, and I appreciate you. Take care of yourself, all right?
Yeah, you too, buddy. Thanks for coming on, man. Keep up the fight, dude.
Yes, sir. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I dropped the link for anybody else who wants to join. It's in the chat. If anybody else wants to come on in, buddy, get out of here, man. Oh, and Captain Corrosive says to tell you that she wants your hat. Isn't that interesting? She wants your hat. It's a cool hat. So that's what we had for Tommy the Troll, Lou Elizondo. We still haven't heard from Alien Girl yet. So like I said, I hope that she's okay. I'll go drop her that link on Twitter that I was supposed to earlier. That's it. We'll see what happens. I do have another video for you guys here. It is a preview of the alien dance party, and it's super, super top secret. So you really can't tell anybody about it, but that's kind of silly because I'm putting it online and showing it to y'all anyhow. But that's what I do. Just, I don't want to see it on TMZ tonight. All right. Check this out. You guys got to see this.
2010, a CGI dancing alien by the name of Howard took the internet by storm. Howard was quick to rise to the top of the CGI dancing alien circuit. An overnight sensation, Howard was showing up everywhere.
At the height of his internet fame, Howard found himself on The judges were amazed by Howard's talent. And so was the audience. Howard was on top of it all. He even landed a few acting jobs in a couple of small budget films. Such as Jurassic Park. And War of the Worlds. How could it get any better? Howard was truly on top of the world. But even on top of the world, Howard felt a change in how people were looking at him. And he knew it was soon to be over when his agent booked him a job on the most popular creative piece in daytime television.
Oh my gosh! Why was Mr. Krabs making all those beeping sounds? Could it be that he's a robot?
Howard knew his 15 minutes of fame was over. And so Howard tried branching out to a foreign market.
施錠をしたとはいえ、こんな古い木の扉なんて簡単に破られるだろうな。
It did not go over well. Howard was not discouraged, however, so he tried many things. Howard even tried online dancing for tips. It also did not go over well. This was truly rock bottom for Howard, and so Howard slid into a downward spiral binge of ice cream, pizza, and disco to cope. The final straw for Howard was when he was arrested for a home invasion. He was heard saying to the police as they led him away in handcuffs, "I just need money for one more slice of pizza." So where is he now? We caught up to Howard 11 years later in Portland, Oregon, and we did what anyone would do when they see a former celebrity down on their luck. We capitalized on his misfortune for our own benefit and offered him a job hosting the Alien Dance Party. But this isn't just the same old Howard. We've taught him a few new tricks. And we even got Howard some backup dancers. Featuring all original music by Manny at Area 503. And there's even a special appearance by Mrs. Howard. We got UFOs. We got aliens. We got balloons. We got X-Files. We got dancing Goombas and the backup dancers to handle them. We got space invaders. We got disco lights. We got bass drops. The only thing missing is you. Come join the Alien Dance Party premiere on Area 503. Featuring all original ad-free music and original videos by Manny at Area 503. Featuring unique themes for each song and video. Alien Dance Party. Coming soon. Only on Area 503. Oh, there we go. So yeah, that was the preview for the Alien Dance Party, which is coming up on Area 503. We got William Carr in the house. I'm going to bring him on here in just a second. The dance party live stream premiere is going to be coming up, and we're going to be hanging out listening to a couple hours maybe of original dance music and videos. So it'll be a good time. Hang out, listen to some dance music, talk, and chat. So look for the notification on Area 503 for that one. Will, are you ready to come on? Let's bring you on, man.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, dude? How you been?
Oh, I've been pretty good. Joined the day anyway. Yeah, I was just at Lake Ontario today, so it was great.
Oh, nice, man. I don't know how the weather is where you're at, but it's been gorgeous here today. Hot even.
Yeah, it's been a little hot here, but the nice breeze though, right? So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's been nice. So. Yeah.
What'd
so what is this? Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, what you think of the dance party video, man?
Oh, I love it, man. That's nice video editing there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, the little backstory I thought was fun, man. Just to come up with a little story for Howard, like, hey, man, he disappeared for a few years, man, and then found him down on his luck, like, what are you going to do, man? You got to, whenever you see a celebrity down on their luck, you do what anyone should do. You capitalize on it.
Right?
Oh, God.
Oh,
yeah, it should be fun. Should be fun, man. I've got some, it's not my music's coming along. I'm a kind of an amateur where that goes, but I think I've got some good stuff for people to listen to that doesn't grate on the ears too much. And it'll only get better as time progresses. It's something that I plan to keep doing as my music skills get better. The music will get better. So, that's just kind of where it is. But if I can do these fun little videos with them, then why not, and they kind of are fun.
Yeah, they are, right? Yeah, I'm starting to get into that myself. So it is fun.
Yeah, you just gotta find it where you can, man. Like I sift through all the loose stuff all day long, and I get angry, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go do something fun and make some music or something. Let's go make some animations or something fun. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sift through loose stuff. It's like reading those Pentagon papers or the 180-day report. It's just like, it's like going over a car application for a loan. You got to read all the fine print on everything to make sure you're not getting hosed. It gets tiring.
And you only could do it so much too, right? So
yeah, eventually you get caught slipping too, and you miss something. You're like,
right.
Oh, there we go. They got me. You're right. That one time, I wasn't paying attention, but yeah. We'll see. I think more people are getting hip to the con as far as Elizondo's going. So hopefully his days of credibility are numbered. But it's hard when they plaster his face all over the mainstream and he gets nominated for like one of the most influential people of the year or something. Like, really, this freaking clown? Ugh, God.
Oh man. So what makes you mad, that he did it or you didn't do it? Like
he hasn't done it. If he did it, I wish I would say that. If he did it, like I wish he would. I'd go be the first to buy him a beer, man. Forced disclosure, but he hasn't done it yet, man. He's made a lot of promises, but I haven't seen much cheddar on the back end.
I think he's saving it for a long ass story to push it out.
Yeah, so maybe.
I'm gonna lean towards that. I'm gonna say that everything he's showing is real. I'm going to lean towards that. And
the 3 pieces of footage? Sure, it's real.
Sure, it's real, right?
Yeah,
and but the thing is that he's not going to show the better footage or the stuff that really matters. Not till later. It's a big story for him, I feel.
I don't know.
And he's going to ride on it.
You think he could hold it that long? If he had something from 2017, you think he'd still hold it?
Oh yeah, he's been holding it probably for longer. So
we'll see. We'll see. That is what they do. That's the game plan. Like Corbell,
right.
drip a still frame, drip some innuendo. And I get what you're saying there, and you make a good point. And it might be that, but it just seems like too long of a game for him. Like he's moving pieces around so fast. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't know about that. We'll come back to that just 1 second though. IR Film says, "Hey Manny, take Tommy the Troll out for some tacos." Cheers, bud. Yeah, I will, man, and a beer. Thanks, man. He could use one after all that stuff, man. He needs it to decompress after sifting 3 hours of Lou video.
He's gonna be on medication soon. Don't worry.
Yeah. Thanks for the super chat, IR. I appreciate that, man. That goes right into the fund for the channel. And I've got some projects that I want to do. And so all this money gets piled up in there until I get enough to do these projects. It's great. As soon as I get the first one done, I'll do a video expose, but I can't talk about it too much because it's so dang cool. If I tell people what it is, then somebody else will do it first. And I don't want that to happen. So
right.
yeah, we'll see what happens here with this. But yeah, like as far as you saying like him holding on to stuff, that would make sense at a strategic level, but
financially too. Financial level, you know what I mean? Like it's just, and he's waiting for the media to die down for him to release something else. Once he realizes everything's dying down, he's going to release something else. He might not have a set date. It's just play it by ear. We'll see how far.
I think it's clear that he still has some kind of contact in the Pentagon. I mean, he admitted to having influence at the UAP task force as to what could come into the report, the 180-day report, which the UAP task force was in charge of. He wrote a handoff letter, presumably for somebody who was taking over the UAP task force, although they may have been established after he left ATIP, so that might not be true. It might have been somebody else that he wrote that letter off to, and that might be a third investigation unit that we're yet unaware of, as of today. But he left 2017 to go run that special access management program, and that's where he said he went to Gitmo. And I'm like, what the heck were you doing at Gitmo in 2017? Like what's going on there, man? Like and where was he at? That's really what I want to know, man. Where was this guy at in 2000? Where was he at in 2004? Where was he at in 2006 when they came up to him and said, hey, run this UFO program for us, even though you don't know what UFOs are, you've never seen one, and you have no experience with them? Like how do you pick a guy for that type of program?
Now, are you sure he didn't know anything about it beforehand?
Well, according to his coming out interview with George Knapp, he said on his very first interview, he's like, yeah, before 2007, I had never even heard of a UFO. I didn't even know what a UFO was, and I'm like, really? Like in this day and age, you don't know what a freaking like he was playing dumb, and that's the first interview I saw with him where I was like, my hackles are up, man.
Come on.
His very first interview, yeah, that's how they sold it. They're like, until he stepped on the stage, and then he stepped on the stage. Like it's that interview. I have a copy of it. So you know what? Maybe let's take a look. Let's take a look. It's a good thing that I keep all this stuff, like, and I do. I keep all of these things because people will ask me, and they're like, well, you need to prove that. And I'm like, wow, okay, let's go ahead and prove it. Let's see. That was his very first nap. See if I can find it this way. It might be in my backup files, which might take a little longer to search.
But let's just say that he's lying about that. That means he was the guy to go to, and that's why they put him in there. That's what I assumed. Obviously, my assumption is wrong because he's saying that he's not interested. He was never interested in that stuff until he's seen it. Now, so does that mean did he have talk? Did he ever talk about it? Maybe not show interest, but definitely talk about it.
I don't know. He never said that, like in his interview, he alluded, and that might have just them being dramatic. That might have been George Knapp being dramatic for the interview. That might not have been a statement of fact or intended to be a statement of fact. It might have just been one of those general things where he's setting up this backstory for him to be this, molder or whatever. But, it was the image that they portrayed on there. I'm still looking for that interview. Yeah, hang on. I know where it's at. I know where this thing is.
But this is hypothetical for me. Like I'm just adding. I use the same wrong word, but I'm just what if? Because my belief is that it's all a freaking stage and everything's a stage. I have a different belief altogether about it, but I'm doing a what if. Maybe what if he is right and everything is right? What should we expect from this guy? Why is he milking it, right? Why is he holding the information if he does have this information? What's going on? But
it makes sense, like you said, to milk it for the news cycle element to get the most mileage for your footage and whatnot, which is what they've been doing. At least Corbella's been. Now, TTSA didn't so much do that. I mean, they pretty much just blew it all off at once with that huge press conference and all those claims that they were going to make this app to track UFOs, and then they were going to make that ship. All this crap that they came up with, and then didn't come through with. So. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, and then TTSA sold all those stock footage for, 30 million or whatever. And, I don't think anyone's ever going to get any money back from that. It's all getting spent on Angels and Airwaves and was paid out to the TTSA employees, of which Elizondo, I believe, was one of. So you said something about him worrying about money earlier. And I don't think that cat's worrying about money. He's got people, trying to shove money at him hand over fist from, TTSA to probably, like I said, the defense industry,
Well, a millionaire wants to be a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
Money will not end there. So he is worried about the money because he wants to keep on capitalizing on it. It's like anybody playing the stock system or something, right? You're dumping money into something, you're hoping you're going to get something out of it, and that's any streamer, YouTuber, whatever. It's like whatever you dump into it is what you're getting back,
Yeah, and he's definitely in it for a reason. He definitely has an agenda.
Maybe it's just to be like that, just to be part of that mainstream. That's his role, as part of that mainstream. He's just you and I. So now he's relying on other sources to get this information out, but he wants to make money.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I guess, like we all want to, but I think he's guaranteed the type of money that he's talking about. I said this earlier, the $3 trillion that Rumsfeld announced, back in 2001 of missing Pentagon DOD budget money is up to, some 23 trillion. And that's, $1 trillion a year in 20 years. That's $2,000 a minute. I mean, that's the type of money that we're talking about in this industry. And that's just the money we don't know about. That doesn't include money that these same companies are getting from NASA that we do know about, or from the military that we do know about. That's the special access stuff. So this is a huge amount of money. Right. And I've looked at these companies, you know, when a company like Northrop, I think it was Northrop, or it might have been Lockheed, it was one of them, but you know, they had gotten somewhere along the lines of $1 trillion, or not $1 trillion, but $1 billion in government contracts in the year, and it allocated about 30 million of that for profit sharing, employee bonuses, and things like that, you know. And so the rest of that money is not just getting soaked up into that company; it's actually getting spent on the layer after layer after layer of subcontractors that are involved in these projects. You know, people like Elizondo, who are ex-military, who are contractors, or technicians who are contractors, or transportation industry people who are contractors. You know, they have so many different levels. And, you know, for one guy to move a container from one, you know, yard a mile away to another yard, you might have to have 5 different contracting companies involved in that, you know, and everybody taking a chunk of the pie. You
but
know?
the question is now, who owns those who owns those businesses that are doing it?
Well, I can speculate, and you could go and start tracking down corporations and checking out who owns what and all that. But the web gets really twisted and really complicated really fast, and it gets real complicated. But there are some programs to help track that sort of thing, and the business trackers you can look at online and things like that. But you know, the money, what you really got to look at is money in versus money out. You know, if a company's taking in $1 billion in cash, and then they're claiming that they're spending, you know, 99% of it on expenditures, well, then you got to look at how they're spending their money, you know. And then you see these big contracts for consultation services and things like that, and you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck does this even mean? You know, we're not talking pizza parties here, you know, like, and that's where you got to really ask, are we getting our, you know, $1 trillion a year as a taxpayer out of this money, you know, or are we really getting a service that's worth $100 a year for $1 trillion? You know what I mean? Like when the dust settles, like, because there's no accountability, there's no oversight, it's all top secret. And the people who are supposed to be seeing, you know, looking over it are in charge of the Pentagon, but they've maybe have been compromised, you know, because people can be corrupted, you know. There's obviously something going on at the Pentagon, or somebody like Lou would have been quashed the day he came out. You know, lying to them about those documents or to get those videos, that right there should have pretty much ended his security clearance that second, you know, the day he stepped on the stage with TTSA, but for some reason he was allowed to keep it. And that, I think, is shocking. I think it is, you know. Like,
well, that action and what happened there makes you question it, right? Makes you wonder, right?
Right. Did he know that those were drones, and did he lie to the world when he came out with TTSA and said these are UFOs?
I say yes.
Or
that's my opinion.
Yeah, did he know that they were UFOs and lie to the Pentagon and call them drones, which is what he's trying to tell everyone. Hey, you know, I tried to lie to the Pentagon because I told them they were UFOs, they wouldn't let me have it. Of course they wouldn't let him have it if he said it was UFOs, you know, like they'd say, no, that's classified. What do you mean? And you know, but that document's pretty damning, you know, where he says that this is for the USG partners and not for publication. He's talking specifically about the application that TTSA was going to build, and they wanted to make like a cell phone app that you and I could download, and if we saw a UFO, we'd shoot it with our phone, and it would upload it to their servers, and they'd start to catalog it, and they were supposed to use AI to try to figure out what these things are, and they had all these promises, and it's all bull squat. They came to nothing. But yet there's a free open source project out there called Skyhub that does the same exact thing and links it to cameras. So you don't even have to take the footage. You just set these boxes up that's got a camera on it, and it records 24/7. And if it captures anything, it sends it into their AI and their database, and it figures it all out. You know, so we didn't need, you know, to have TTSA do that. We had somebody who was going to do it already. Why did Tom DeLonge want to do it? I know why Lou wanted to do it, because it gets all those people to collect UFO information for him, which means the intelligence services. That's like, hey, we got root access to all this stuff. You know, we can quash.
It's like they claim it. They claim the information.
Yeah, they put themselves right in the middle, and if anything pops up they don't want, they can squash it, or they can take it and say it's theirs, or do whatever they want with it. Just like, you know, I mean, that's why Lou's at the top of ufology, so he can control the narrative, you know. And it scares me how people just lap it up and nobody questions him. Nobody wants. I haven't heard one of these interviewers say, Lou, can you prove that? Can you prove what you just told me? I mean, physically prove it with something other than a statement, because, you know, a statement's a statement. That's all it is. It's an opinion. It doesn't mean shit if you don't have a piece of paper behind it. At least that's what Stan Friedman would say, you know. Right. And I thought that's what we were saying in ufology. You know, I thought as a culture it was, you know, trust but verify. You know, take someone at their word, but check the facts to make sure that the facts coincide with what they're saying, and if they don't, or if there's too many inconsistencies in somebody's word, that's when you're like, well, wait a minute. And that really is Lou, man. If you just watch all his stuff, go back and watch some of his old stuff, watch his stuff from a year ago, and then watch his recent stuff, you'll see his story change as circumstances change. And, it's almost like it's like he's the king of the chessboard, and everybody else is just following him around when the people move him, so yeah. I guess we'll see. I really do hope, like I said earlier, I hope that I'm wrong. Nothing would make me better, feel better, and than to eat crow on this one, because of what it would mean for disclosure and for humanity in general. But I just don't see it. And if it does come out, I think it's going to be a limited form that only allows the arms industry to profit. That's why they're going to leak it out, because they want to get the patents on this stuff, because they're afraid somebody else is going to make it and try to patent it first. All those secret Navy patents and stuff. It's like, that's all money. That's not about anything else. Or it's sometimes they use that stuff for misinformation, like they release stuff to see where it'll come out and stuff. But filing for a patent in a public office, that's because they want everyone to know, because there are secret patent offices where they could file for a top secret patent and get one if they didn't want our enemies to know, or us. And they do it all the time. So, like, God,
unless they already figured it out about the world power, they've already figured this out. When this information gets out to the public, around the world, our governments have already talked about this and who gets and what organization controls what. And this has already been discussed.
Yeah, they could have already chopped everything up and divided it amongst themselves. The world powers, the allies, who knows, whoever it could be. Like, I totally agree. There could be some sort of, clandestine arrangement that's been going on. And when you look at what's going on around the world as far as, like China and things like that, and Russia, like, you're like, oh, wow, people are trying to lock down all their borders right now and get anything that's contested is now becoming real solidified. So, we might be seeing that, but maybe a timer is running out. Maybe there was a timer on disclosure, maybe there was an agreement made a long time ago that's coming, and it's not like just a normal treaty where you can walk out of it, with notice. Maybe this is an immutable, irrevocable treaty that's like, no, after 100 years, something's going to happen, or after 20 years or 80 years or whatever, it could be something like that. But, we could speculate about those all day long, and we just don't know, because even if it was really happening, we'd never get to see the evidence of it. It's one of those things that would just be buried so deep, it won't ever come out.
But that's the disclosure I'm looking for, is that information, right? Or is the Catholic, or are the religions also involved in this UFO thing? Because there's been documents of UFOs cited in past history, right, with religion. So
it wouldn't surprise me at all if at least the Vatican is, and if not some of the other larger organized religions. Yeah. It wouldn't, to be. Especially ones that have been, any institution that's been around that long really should be, and there aren't many. There aren't, so, they would know, and you would think that. Now, how accurately they've retained history through the years, from storytelling to document writing to things like that, what I mean? And the interpretation of what things meant that happened back then, there's a very real possibility that they have information that they haven't shared with the world, and maybe will, or are planning to. And maybe that's what, maybe they're waiting to get their ducks in a row before they, force everybody else to come out. You just never know. We're along for the ride with this kind of thing, because these powers and these institutions are so great that they're bigger than even nations. You know what I mean? They're bigger than countries. They're bigger than superpowers. They kind of span nations and things like that. They're kind of global. So they're really going to happen, whether we can, all we can do is speculate, talk about them, and call them out when we see them, so we're not fooled by it. That's the best thing to do. Yeah. Because everybody's trying to fool you nowadays. Everybody's just like, oh my God, it's misinformation. It's this is real, that isn't real. This is real, that isn't real. And you're like, just show me the facts. I can determine for myself what's real and not. Right.
But everybody's trying to get famous. Everybody's trying to make a buck out of it. Right. So they're trying to get the best of the best story, the best.
I think that's how people get manipulated, is because they're in it for that. You know, I think like Jeremy Corbell and some of the other people who I call rubes, you know, are kind of, they're in it. You know, like I think Jeremy Corbell, if he'd have been around when Bob Lazar was coming out, you know, he probably would have been all Bob Lazar, you know, like, yeah, this is great. You know, like, you know, I think his heart's in the right place. Tom DeLonge, I think his heart's in the right place. But, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And at some point when you're getting involved with stuff like that, you got to look, like, ask Tom DeLonge, don't you look at somebody like Lou Elizondo, like, Jesus, man, you're the best they could send to me? Like, you couldn't find a more friendly face, some guy who isn't just, you know, like, has done some God knows what in the name of national security, and then came out with these 3 flimsy pieces of footage, not a stack like Snowden. You know, like, he didn't have program names and budgets and dates and years, and he didn't. He had some shitty ass footage, most of which was already released on the internet, you know? So
right.
Yeah, so like he really could have come out hard, and I probably would have been one of the biggest supporters of him if he'd have come out like Snowden with just a mountain of evidence that you could not argue with. I would be screaming and yelling to the world till they listened. But the guy hasn't, and he's, you know, the way that he's acting. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've met
Maybe
a few
he's
people
scared.
like him over the years. Nah, he's not scared, man. He's running for Congress, man. He's got, you know, like, he was worried about losing his security clearance because he's working for the, you know, defense industry. He's not scared, man. The only thing he's worried about is going too far and actually pissing off the Pentagon to the point that his friends on his side can't protect him, really. I think that's the only line he won't cross, which is why he dances around, you know, like, things when he's talking about the Pentagon, you know, and them deleting his emails and, you know, all that kind of crap. You know, it's like, you know, like, he pretends to be so shocked when they play the game with him that they've played with us for years, which is bullshit and lies, you know, but right. You know, when they do it to him, he's like, oh, I can't believe they do that. It's like, why not, asshole? You did it to us for years, and now you don't like it when somebody's doing it to you, you know, like, come on, man. Right. Like, that's, you know, like, there was a few subtle indications to Lou, in my opinion. Now, this is all my opinion, but in the 180-day report specifically, and in when they supposedly deleted his emails, which means they didn't delete them, they just didn't confirm that they existed. They just said, we can't confirm those. You know, he's the one who ran around saying, they deleted my emails, they're trying to target me, and all this other bullshit that didn't happen. But really, all they did was smack him down and say, Lou, we're done with you. You know, sit down, kid. You've had your minute. And if you get up in our face again, we're going to chop you off at the knees, you know, and that's why he was dancing around with the 180-day report. And I believe that's why the 180-day report only covered from the Nimitz encounter on, because I believe that's the only information that Lou had was from the Nimitz encounter on. I don't think Lou had a single scrap of evidence before November 2004. I don't think he did. I don't think
he dabbled into the archives of just even Third Phase Moon. And just dabble into that archive and then present it. If he's in, let's get this guy information, proper information.
He doesn't want it, though. He doesn't want it, man. He wants to go on these live streams and sling his story and get people to side with him, you know? And he wants those people who will blindly do it and then bully someone like me or Buddy, who was on earlier, and attack him because he questions it. That's exactly what he wanted. And it's particular, you know, like, he can't get away with that stuff in the real world. If I'm sitting in a bar talking about this stuff, nobody's going to be like, you're a jerk, Elizondo's the man, and punch me in the nose, you know, like it. But on Twitter, they'll do that. They'll tell me to go F myself and give me a flippant little meme and run away. You know, like, like, it happens all the time. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how people,
nasty,
you know, like,
people over there, just nasty.
You know, it's an online desensitization, which has nothing to do with Elizondo, but his gang is taking care. You know, they're capitalizing on it. I'll say that. You know, and
but has anybody photobomb him with real evidence? Like, has anybody actually done that? Like,
yeah, Dr. Stephen Greer, really. I mean, he didn't really provide a lot of evidence. You know, but what evidence do you have on Lou? I mean, you could make an hour documentary, play his 3 pieces of footage, run over the 8 documents that George Knapp has released, you know, in his name that show he worked at ATIP. I mean, there is nothing to justify this clown talking for almost 4 years straight. Nothing. 4 minutes. Sure. He had his 4 minutes, but it was a long time ago. Like, he hasn't brought anything new. And I'm hoping, like you said, he does have something to bring new. Make me my words, Lou. Lou, if you're listening, make me my words. Come up with something fresh, man, because your ass is stale, dude. That's it, man. You got the same old stuff, man, and that's it.
Let's photobomb him. Let's just take the evidence that we have and just keep sending it to him. And just talk about this.
You know, you might see somebody make a documentary about him and just put it all out there. But again, you know, it all depends on how and what you want to do and how you want to go at him. Hammering people like that on their home turf, in my opinion, is the best way to go, which is why I will pretty much just hammer him all day long on Twitter until he blocks me, which he hasn't yet. But at some point, that's why I take it to his own backyard, because that's where he's the strongest, and that's where people need to hear this message the most, is that he's full of shit. He's full of shit. He's trying to manipulate them. He really is. He's trying to get them on his side, so that when they go to ask for money or whatever their end game is, I mean, I hope it's as simple as money, and that it's nothing as drastic as like an attempted coup of the military. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine that? Lockheed and Northrop, saying, hey, we fly all these things. We're just going to take them over. Now they're not yours anymore. That right there should never even be allowed to even be considered, let alone be even close to being reality. And it makes me wonder what kind of check and balances we have on this unmitigated amount of money that's going to these special access projects with no oversight, or minimal. I mean, yeah. I mean, from what I understand,
how many people, so you attack them on Twitter? Sorry, just before you keep going. So you Twitch, you on Twitter then?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. Tommy's on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Real Area 503, and Tommy is on Twitter at Tommy Troll 503. And Tommy, that good young fine lad, has just been bringing it hardcore to both Corbell and Elizondo. He takes it to them in their own turf, man, and he is not afraid, to get bullied or picked at by his little, UFO bro chads who are like, yeah, Lou rocks and you're gay, and I'm like, no, dude, I'm a troll. I got thick skin. You can't get to me. You can't get to me. Tommy, I'm sorry, Tommy. You can't get to Tommy. Tommy's got thick skin. It's not me. Tommy's Tommy. I'm Manny.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just, and I'm glad to hear that to talk to people like Buddy, because I know that there's other people out there who get harassed. And when I see that happening, I tend to try to pop up and give them some encouraging words on Twitter or whatever. I'm like, hey, you're not alone. Don't feel so bad for having an unpopular opinion. Sometimes those are the ones that are right, or the ones that need to be heard, or at least talked about. And, if my opinion's so damn crazy, here I am almost 4 years into having it, and nobody's been able to show me a single shred of proof that I'm wrong. Not one. Not one that this guy really means what he says, or not one that his story is true, not one. So, and there's a lot to contradict him, a lot of shady things, so I don't know, man. Like, I guess we'll see people. And still, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, and I say that all the time. You can lead a horse to water, but if the horse has got an ego, it'll die before accepting your help. So,
I'm going to start following Lou then on Twitter, and I'm going to start sending him links to like your show and stuff. I'm just going to start sending him. I'm going to tag him. I'm going to put a different account, obviously.
I tag him all the time in my stuff.
I tag him videos. I'm going to tag stuff like that into his responses on Twitter.
I do. When him and the Dr. Greer debate was going on, I tagged both of them every day, and I was like, yeah, this is going to happen. This guy's going to, and I tried to really nettle him into into getting on to third phase and talking with Greer. And I did my best to push and push and push, but obviously Twitter is one of those places where the more followers you have and the more people you have behind you who like your stuff and retweet it, the better and more successful you are. And I guarantee if there was 30 to 50,000 people doing this, they'd be listening, Right. Oh, great answer. That's so nice of you. Got a super chat. Just imagine Lou's muscular hands, all tattooed biceps, pushing for disclosure forward. Thank you. Great answer. Did you see his creepy tattoos? He's got like a black cat with 13, and then on one forearm, and on the other forearm, Lou's got a tattoo of the Statue of Liberty holding an M16, and it says, "I'm coming." Like, oh my God, this guy is just friggin' creepy, dude. Like, I swear, man, like it gives me the shivers, man. I could just see him in a bar full of like Navy SEALs and real hardcore dudes and people who are real military who are over there getting blown up in Iraq and Afghanistan. And here this clown is trying to impress them, being like, I'm the Mulder for the, DI, like I'm the top secret UFO clown, and meanwhile, he's just shoveling money to Bob Bigelow and partying, flying around on, airplanes on our dime and just being a jerk. Like, man. And, trying to impress all these guys with his tattoos and his. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. He said he's taken an oath, but he's never said where he was in the military, what branch of the military he was in, what he did in the military. The only thing he's ever admitted to is working at ATIP and then that special access program that he worked at, special access management program, which again just sounds like a bunch of fluff to me. Like SAP management staff program. Like what? Oh, you're the director? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm the director of Area 503. Like that doesn't, what the hell does that mean? Like la-di-da, big freaking deal. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, man, I hope I'm wrong about Lou, dude. Nothing would make me feel better than to have him just drop a Snowden level drop on us and be like, nope, here it all is, but I just don't see that. He's been, people have asked him, like, hey, are you going to come out? Would you break an NDA? And he's like, nope, I won't break the NDA. I won't disclose anything I'm not authorized to disclose. Nope. Won't do that. Can't jeopardize my security clearance. Need that to work for Halliburton, or whoever the hell these people are. I don't get it, but yeah, it's right there. It's all right in front of people. And I can only play the clips and point it out to them and say, hey, it's right here. If you choose to see it, you can. And if not, you won't, I mean, I did on my last Tommy video. I had somebody pop up in the comments and be like, oh, your assessment on everything is wrong. And I was like, okay. All right.
All right.
Would you care to extrapolate? Would you care to explain a little bit? Would you no, you're just going to give me the middle finger and tell me that I stink? Okay, well, great having a third grade conversation with you. Do you want me to pull your hair when you turn around?
Thank you for liking my show. Hit the thumbs up, please, before you leave.
Yeah, hit the thumbs down. I don't care. Trolls help with the algorithm, and I don't really care.
Yeah, right. That means people are clicking and watching. That's what they want to see.
In fact, I think we're going to click over. Let's take a little watch of the little Tommy. My recent Tommy video.
Oh, yeah.
Where Tommy the Troll hijacked my dang show, man. He's like, I'll just take over. But it was fine. We had a good time. Nobody wants to hear Tommy karaoke, though. Elizondo interview. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a peek. I know. You can't walk to the store without bumping into 3 people that have done a live stream with Lou Elizondo. But hey, we still got to look at this footage. Oh, hey, who could that be? Oh, it's Tommy the Troll. What's going on, dude? Hey, Manny. I got a Google alert that you were going to be talking about Lou Elizondo, so I figured that I would come by and give you my unsolicited opinions. So what do you say? Why don't you let me do what's in my nature and troll Lou? You know what, Tommy? You're right. I'm completely tired of talking about Lou Elizondo. Why don't you go ahead and handle this for a bit? Well, all right, Manny. I was hoping you'd say something like that. Why don't you go ahead and kick back and I'll handle this clown for you. Where do we even start? Let's go back over to Lou Elizondo and Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio.
Well, look, I've said before, the truth has nothing to hide, and I'm not a stranger to criticism,
Well, Lou, it certainly is a good thing that you're no stranger to criticism, because you've got Tommy the Troll that you're dealing with now, and if there's one thing that a troll is good at, it's criticism. But how are you going to handle a troll when you got run off of the scene by a country doctor from Virginia named Greer?
But I'm not doing this to make friends. I'm doing this for a very deeply personal reason, and it's to tell the truth, tell America what really their tax dollars was paying for, and what we found. I do it because I believe in the cause, and I believe the people who are part of this effort. Well, Dave, thank you for having the patience. I spent a career with these hands, destroying people's lives in the name of national security, and I really am trying to spend the last half of my life trying to put human beings back together again.
Okay, Lou, you just gave us 3 different reasons for why you're trying to force disclosure. You said it was for the truth, and then the people, and now you're saying it's for... what? Because you're some kind of UFO messiah or something? That's just plain silly, man. Come on.
And that's, there's something to be said for that. And every single one of the listeners right now and every single one of your bloggers are part of that movement. So this is a joint effort. And I think for me, it's been an honor and privilege to be part of that. I'm not looking to be the face of ufology. I'm not looking to be the leader of anything.
Come on, Lou. That's exactly what you've done. You've infiltrated ufology and put yourself right at the top, which is where you wanted to be. That's why you went and did live streams with everybody and claimed that you were not told by the TTSA that people on smaller channels were trying to get a hold of you. It's a story, man, and you've got a story for everything. Sheesh.
My first responsibility and priority is that as a father. Secondly, it's that as an American citizen and a patriot. But in order to be, a patriot, sometimes you have to do things that don't seem very patriotic at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm starting to get a little creeped out here, Lou. The last time I heard a guy talk like that, it was Timothy McVeigh, and he did a bad thing right afterwards. So maybe we should call, the MIB on this guy. Yeah, what do you guys think? Should we call the MIB on him? Oh, no, wait. It looks like the Pentagon's already on it. Because he's talking about them in this next clip. Oh, my.
It's true that they were targeting me and still do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they manipulated and used good people to do it, which is for me probably the most disappointing piece of this. People that are truly just trying to find the facts and the truth were being misled willfully by
you, Lou. They're being willfully misled by you, you asshole. You're the one who's lying to them. You're the one who infiltrated a nice group like ufology and UFO Twitter. You are the one willfully misleading those kind-hearted people. You're a dick. God. And then he turned around and tried to blame other people for it. It's despicable, man. I'm just sick of it. And why do you think the Pentagon is targeting you? Gee. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that you lied to them when you first requested those 3 little pieces of drone footage and then snuck them off to the TTSA and announced them to the world a week later. You're a jerk, man. A real jerk, and you play stupid when you know better. You worked there for 22 years. You know how the Pentagon works. I never worked there. What's your excuse? God.
Are there elements of an IG complaint, we'll call it a complaint, that has been received by the DoD IG? Yes, that is also true. I'm not going to go into any specifics because I want the government the ability.
We know why he won't go into specifics here, right? We know.
Oh my. Oh, I'm cracking up.
Yeah, it's always good, man.
Can you go back to the part where he says, I've killed a lot of people with these hands?
Yeah, it's creepy, isn't it? He doesn't say kill them.
I like just start from there, and because I like it when you throw up the halo around them. It's just so funny. It just cracks me up every time I see it.
Let's see. Oh, there it is.
No, it's the first halo.
The first one. Okay. Yeah, I had 3 in this clip.
Yeah, you did 3. Yeah, I think it's the first one where he's like,
we'll just start it right here. Oh, Gutter, that's cool, man. You didn't have to do that, dude. Thank you, though. I appreciate your donating with the super chat, man. That's awesome. And thanks for coming on and chatting with us too. I haven't talked to you in a minute, man. It's good to hear your voice. About Lou Elizondo. Why don't you go ahead and handle this for a bit? Well, all right, Manny. I was hoping you'd say something like that. Why don't you go ahead and kick back and I'll handle this clown for you. Where do we even start? Let's go back over to Lou Elizondo and Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio.
Well, look, I've said before, the truth has nothing to hide, and I'm not a stranger to criticism.
Well, Lou, it certainly is a good thing that you're no stranger to criticism. because you've got Tommy the Troll that you're dealing with now, and if there's one thing that a troll is good at, it's criticism. But how are you going to handle a troll when you got run off of the scene by a country doctor from Virginia named Greer?
But I'm not doing this to make friends. I'm doing this for a very deeply personal reason, and it's to tell the truth, tell America what really their tax dollars was paying for, and what we found. I do it because I believe in the cause, and I believe the people who are part of this effort. Well, Dave, thank you for having the patience. I spent a career with these hands, destroying people's lives in the name of national security, and I really am trying to spend the last half of my life trying to put human beings back together. Myself.
Okay, Lou, you just gave us 3 different reasons for why you're trying to force disclosure. You said it was for the truth, and then the people, and now you're saying it's for what? Because you're some kind of UFO messiah or something? That's just plain silly, man. Come on.
And that's... there's something to be said for that, and every single one of the listeners right now, and every single one of your bloggers are part of that movement. So this is a joint effort, and I think for me, it's been an honor and privilege to be part of that. I'm not looking to be the face of ufology. I'm not looking to be the leader of anything.
Come on, Lou. That's exactly what you've done. You've infiltrated ufology and put yourself right at the top. Right at the top.
Right.
So that was the second one. I think the last Halo was at the end. I did a little outro bit where I throw in a little. Yeah, there was one at the end too.
It's funny. I laugh every time.
I actually have a short version of that I made just for Tommy the Troll to use on Twitter, of just the Halo part where it's like, and the angels. Yeah. Tommy's got some pretty funny little Twitter videos that he's done. You know what? I might as well share one of those. Why not? Since I'm showing video files today, let's just go ahead and show you the last one that I make. This one is actually aggravating, but it is funny. It was actually something. It was a little, what was it? A music video, but it was mostly to be satirical. Kind of like a little tongue in cheek, so to speak. Let's see if I can find it here. Gosh, where did I put that? I'm going to warn everyone. It's annoying though. So I'm going to check the volume real quick. It's really annoying. Yeah.
Just full blasted.
Ash Dobbs, thank you for the super chat and for coming by, and have a good night, buddy. Take care. And I'm glad that we got to do something tonight. It didn't start out very well, but at least we all got together and got to chat, and that's what it was all about. So, thanks for coming by, man. We'll catch you next time. Let's start this up.
Flying with impunity, Tucker, within our airspace, and they can outmaneuver, outperform anything that we seem to have. Their mode of transportation seems magical to us.
Oh my god. Oh, sorry.
So that's like a troll video. That's something that Tommy would throw up, like underneath one of Corbell or Elizondo's post where they're making one of their garbage posts where they're like, big stuff coming through, something coming soon, more, and I was like, oh God, here we go. Is that bad or is it good? I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
That was pretty good.
I guess we'll see. That's kind of how I feel after I listen to those knuckleheads talk after about 30 minutes. I'm just like, I can't take it anymore. I need to go walk around the block and, listen to some Enya and pet a puppy or something, like, I don't know. Oh, goodness.
That's hilarious. That's funny.
Yeah, there's a couple of other ones that I made for Tommy. Most of them are just little, they're little quickies, so that I can share them on Twitter as a comment or a quick video or whatever, So they're not like, real videos or anything. They're only 30 seconds or maybe 2 minutes at the longest, But
right.
Yeah, let's see. Where was the other one that I had? Oh, the talking head.
You're doing a pretty good job then trolling. That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, I try, man.
I gotta follow you. I gotta follow you. I'll support you.
Yeah, I mean, I wish everybody would head on over to Twitter and follow me there at Real Area 503 or Tommy is Tommy Troll 503 and give us some support. It's the more people that go out there and hit that little heart when you make a post, the more people get noticed, and retweet and so the other
I follow Elon Musk. I'll send him a couple of those too. I think NASA would like those too. Yeah, I tag NASA in it. Whatever.
Oh, I tag all kinds of people. I've tagged Seth Rogen. I've tagged Elon. I tag all kinds of people, man. Yeah. Who is it? I've actually had some interactions. Like there was an actor named Aaron Eisenberg, the young man who played Nog on Deep Space Nine, and we communicated on Twitter a little bit. He was a really cool guy. He passed away 2 years ago, I think. But he was a really nice guy, man. Just a little firecracker too, man. He was a short guy, but he just had like passion, it was beautiful. But let's see. Yeah, and I tried to get Seth Rogen to come for the premiere of Disclosure Tonight. I'd made him a couple little videos where I was like talking to him in the video as Fleeb the Demon. I was like, Seth, come to the damn, premiere, you idiot. What are you doing? You're not here, I don't know if you ever saw him or just thought it was an idiot or didn't see it or what, but yeah, he never came by. Maybe next time. You never know unless you try, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, doesn't hurt to try. It's not like he's, whatever, what can he do? Just try, and you never know. He might just look at it and boom. Right?
Yeah, you'd be surprised, Yeah, you see people, I see like William Shatner, some other real big name celebrities, people who respond all the time to stuff like that. Mark Hamill's one of them, then if they see something that kind of strikes a chord, then they'll respond to it. Other people you get a feel for people how they are if you watch them on Twitter, like some of them are Dean Koontz, the author. I follow him, but it's pretty clear that like a publicist or a promoter runs that account, whereas like I said, Bill Shatner, as quirky and quippy as he is and the way he chooses to talk to people, I have to assume it's him, Yeah. The Iron Sheik, he's a good one too, man. He humbles everybody because every morning he's just telling you to go F yourself. He's like, come here, jabroni, and F yourself. I'm like, okay, whatever. Thanks, man. I like the Iron Sheik, though, the old wrestler, the guy with that headpiece. Yeah, he was a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, I liked Hogan. That was my wrestler.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan or Hollywood Hogan?
No, Hulk Hogan, not Hollywood, not NWO, not NWO.
You don't like bad guy Hulk. You like good guy Hulk.
Yeah, well, that was childhood, right? That was the last time I kind of watched wrestling. After he left, that was it. I stopped.
That was it. Yeah. I liked the original Hulkster, man. I remember when with like the Hulk and like the first few WrestleManias. I think I watched one of them on pay-per-view. I think the one with Mr. T actually. Yeah,
Mr. T. Yeah, I remember when he was hot in the movies there, and he decided to come over. Right?
Yeah. They were doing some crossover stuff,
Yeah, because of the A-Team, right?
Yeah, where the heck is Mr. T nowadays? Jeez Louise.
He's still kicking, I think.
Yeah, I heard he got sick. I think he had some kind of cancer or something, I think. Yeah. Says, I've got all these clips of Elizondo broken down by what he's saying and renamed, so I don't have the actual interviews because they're in folders. And I'm like, oh, I should have renamed the folder too. But I do have all these different. Oh yeah, this was a good one. I should play this one for you guys. There's one point in that interview in the Tommy video where he's talking about his time at Guantanamo Bay. And Lou just ties his damn hands into a pretzel, man. Like he just wraps them up and just twists them up. And then later on, he's talking about how at one point, actually, I'm not even going to say it. I just want to play it. I'm not going to tell you what it says. I'm going to play it. I'm going to find it here and play it. This is amazing that he even said this. Where did that just go? Oh. Oh, here it is. Sorry about that. Okay. So he's talking about, he has no problem mentioning Guantanamo Bay. He's just like, yeah, I was there, you know, like it's nothing. And I'm like, really? And I'm thinking, well, what? Were you there for 7 years? Did you fly through and get a cup of coffee on a layover to frickin' Cuba or something? You know, like what happened? But then later on, John Greenwald had asked him about that to extrapolate a little bit. And he says this.
You know, you do.
Let me start over.
That you know, you do have those security oaths and NDAs and clearances where you can't talk about it, and that was what was very evident to me about that office, because there was very little to dig up. And trust me, I've tried since 2000, whatever it was, when that
I have no doubt, John.
Yeah,
I have no doubt.
But it was those Navy court transcripts that came up, and I won't push you on it because I know it is sensitive and I know it's still ongoing. But for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to reference your office in October of 2017, it's clear that whatever you were doing within that office was in dealing with special access programs, and also giving what appeared from the transcripts, the translator for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, access to the information for him to properly translate for the defense. And there was a problem with the judge because they had lost their SAP access. So for me to see that, again, away from the ATIP story, that made me realize a couple years ago, okay, this guy was into, you know, some highly classified material programs, and obviously the one that was spearheading that effort for others to gain access to those special access programs.
Well, that's honestly, John, what landed me on the naughty boy list with ISIS and Al Qaeda. That I was informed that I was wound up being put on the kill list, which was not a very good day in the Elizondo house.
Okay, so he's on a like. Okay.
Interesting.
I just want to say one thing. Okay, you see his hands now. He looks pretty calm, right? He's talking about how basically Al Qaeda had put a price on his head, and to me, this seems like somebody who's almost bragging about that and is not showing any sort of concern or fear whatsoever. His hands aren't a pretzel, like when he mentioned Gitmo earlier. You know, like he tied his freaking hands into a knot, you know, and looked down and, you know, dropped his head down and hid his eyes from the camera and looked down at his little Post-it notes and, you know, like, but, yeah, so I was put on an Al Qaeda hit list, and it was not a good day in the Elizondo household. He sounds like he's talking to a war buddy or another military person right there. You know, like, and that's the kind of thing where another military person be like, oh, well, yeah, no shit, dude. Like, you don't even have to say anymore. Like, I'm not even going to question that. You were actually put on a hit list? Wow. Because these guys are out fighting Al Qaeda, you know, but they're not on those lists. Their names, they're not that important for their names to be on the list. But this freaking clown is, you know. This guy is a valor-stealing son of a bitch. If I've ever met one, I'll tell you what. And for every one of our soldiers who went over there and took a bullet or laid down their life, I apologize to them on behalf of this fucking asshole who wants to ride on your guys' coattails. Sorry, but that is what gets me angry right there. You know, him trying to take credit for what these other people are doing when he's just a liar. He's a liar through and through. So, yeah, he looks pretty comfortable talking about being on a hit list. I agree. You know, he doesn't. You know, if I was on an Al Qaeda hit list, I would not be in the middle of nowhere running for Congress and putting my face all over the internet. I probably would have changed my name and been living in one of our allied countries as suburban, you know, rural country, you know, like rural France or something, you know, like I'm going to go hide somewhere, you know, like I'm not going to put my face all over everything and tell everyone where I'm at, you know, like the guy just doesn't make any sense, you know, and I have to question if this is actually true and if it's you know, or maybe it is true, but it's exaggerated. Maybe he was one of, maybe they said, target all of these people, but didn't name him specifically, anyone who's in our country. I don't know, like, I mean, I have yet to see a scrap of paper that says Al Qaeda hit list, and then here's Lou Elizondo's name on it. We have to take his word for it, but we have to take his word for a lot. I mean, what do you think? You think that guy's telling the truth about his experiences over there?
No, because body language means a lot, and what I get off him is just what he's saying is not what he means. You know what I mean? It's just he's lying. It's just his expressions and how he says the story and everything else. It's like he doesn't really keep eye contact. He's stuttering, or he's doing these things. And why? Is it because is it a script that he's reading? Right? Is it he's just stumbling over stuff that he's trying to remember that was told? Who knows, right? But it's definitely not an experience. Because once you have an experience, it's like etched in your brain, and it's like second nature talking about it. Right?
Every detail, and it doesn't change when you're questioned. You're
right. And so now it's like he's stumbling over words. He's changed his body posture, the way he sits, everything. Right. So that just means a lot as a person. That's how you kind of judge what kind of person he would be if you met him in person.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like if you're in a parking lot and you're grabbing a Big Mac and this guy walks up to you as you're getting into the car and he's like, "Hey, dude, I just need a second of your time," and starts going into this story about shit. You're like, "Where's this going?" And at the end of it, he's like, "And I just need $5." And you're like, "Oh, there we go. Okay, you just wanted $5. Why didn't you just say it? Why waste an hour of my freaking time with your song and dance bullshit story that we both know is bullshit? Just say, hey, can I bum $5? I mean, yeah, but. Yeah, everything about this guy gives me the same thing. My intuition from day one, and I've got pretty good intuition on these things, has told me that he's, full of crap. If this guy was sitting on a poker table, I think I'd have already beat the crap out of him and taken his chips and sent him home crying, hours ago. But yeah, here we are still talking about him because he just keeps flinging more turds against the wall, and they just keep sticking with some people. Why does John Greenwald have him on the Black Vault? Is he on 60 freaking minutes? Why is this guy on Tucker Carlson? Why is he on Fox? Why is he on CNN? Why is he on, why are they talking about him in the Post? Why is Leslie Keane writing articles about this clown without, verifying everything? Yeah, I don't know. I have some whiffs, like it reminds me of the early 2001 or 2002 when, the media was told to tell a story about some weapons of mass destruction that surprisingly didn't exist. And a lot of us never believed that they exist in the first place and even said so much, but the media just steamrolled all over everyone and did their thing. And so did the government, is that what we're seeing here? Just a smaller scale, like a different battlefield, but the same game plan. I mean, sure feels like it to me. Sure feels like they've got some really strong backing in the mainstream, which means money, which, again, $2,000 a minute in the, hour we've been here, they've made $120,000.
That's crazy.
Think about that. I mean, and every hour that this goes on that people don't stop it, or, it's only going to keep continuing, and that number is just going to keep going up. It will. So, again, where's all that damn money going, though? Is it just being spread around in jobs and stuff? Ideally, it's being spread into economics and things like that. And it's just a big job farm. Worst case scenario, it's a private army and we're all screwed and should be heading to Canada or frickin' Mexico. I don't know. That scares me.
But Canada's not any better, though. It really isn't. So don't think Canada is better in some ways, maybe in certain aspects, but we're just as, our government hides shit all the time. Right?
I believe
we're still dealing with it, with hidden money and where's the fucking money going, Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't worry.
Yeah, I see it. I kind of try to stay up on world politics, even though I don't really get political on the show or in my videos for my own information. I like to know what's going on, and I see the similarities. I see how certain countries are, for all intents and purposes, are the same countries, other than some certain legal, and the rest of the world calls us allies, and then, you know, whatever, you know, like, it doesn't matter, right. You know, like, but there are some similarities, you know, Canada, Australia, the UK, the United States, you know, Ireland, we're all, you know, a lot of Europe, you know, and South Korea. There's some countries that are all just like, we're all pretty much the same kind of culture, you know, but
right.
Yeah. We all get along, and I wish the world saw it that way, where it's like, yeah, you know, like, you're an American, I'm a Russian, you're you know, Italian, you're you know, a Chinese person. It doesn't matter. We're all people, you know, like, it's more of like a high school feeling, you know, like, oh, you went to that high school, you know what I mean? Oh, cool. You know, I went to this one, you know, that's kind of how nationalism should be. I think it shouldn't be anything that people are using to think they're better or feel like they're worse than anyone else, you know, like, that kind of breaks my heart, you know.
But you'll never get the peace, you know that, right? Because in math, there's always a positive and a negative. So you will never just have positive, right? That's just, it doesn't, mathematically, it doesn't work, right? You can't
balance and everything, right?
And there's always have to be a balance, always, right?
Yeah.
And so in life, you're going to have the negative people. There might not be a lot, but there always
it's in our
will
nature.
be.
It's in our nature to have that conflict and to be aggressive and things like that. But it's also what separates us from the rest of the life on this planet is our intellectual capacity to grow beyond our nature, to say, we're not going to do these things. We're not going to steal. We're not going to kill. We're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, our civilization is kind of in that context is what I'm talking about.
So the numbers are greater. Yeah. In the positive side, we are greater, but
we have the capacity. I think
right.
we do. I think we could. I think we could become a peaceful planetary society. I really do. And I think if you were to get every single person on this planet alone, one-on-one, and ask them, they would all say that. Yeah, I would like that too. And I would like to see the world that way, or they would think that it already is, you know, to some degree. But, you know, you know, there's other ways that are, you know, war isn't always, I'm declaring war on you. You know, sometimes there's economic war, sometimes there's espionage war, sometimes there's technological wars, sometimes there's space races, sometimes there's arms races, you know what I mean? There's all different kinds of ways that you know, you could do war. And really, from a stick or a rock, man has proven from all time that if you hand him any kind of tool, he can weaponize it first before he figures out, you know, how to use it for good. He's gonna, you know, weaponize it. You know, same can be said about Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. It's all been weaponized, you know, it's all at some point been weaponized. So this is kind of, you know, people will exploit certain scenarios, you know, just like they did this last, you know, with the lockdowns and stuff, you know, that got politicized and certain people capitalized on it. You know, it's just kind of human nature for people to jump on shit when they see a chance, you know, and it takes a strong will to say, I'm not going to do that. That's morally unsound. You know, that's not a good choice. Even if it's allowed, I'm going to choose not to do that, you know? So I hope more people do that.
Well, that's why we have Lou, right?
Yeah. Lou is leading the charge.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't follow that guy into battle, man. He looks like that dude who'd be like, yeah, I'll be the first through the door. And you'd get up there right behind him and he'd grab you right as the door opens and throw you in front of him. And you're like, fuck, dude. Like, you said you were going to go in first and I was going to get your back. And he's like, yeah. That's why I'm the sergeant. You're the private.
Right.
Know, like, yeah. Like, I don't trust him, man. Yeah. I just don't. Oh, there's his awesome tattoos that I was talking about earlier too. He's got that on the left forearm. He's got a black cat and the number 13 underneath it. And then on the right forearm is a Statue of Liberty with an M16 and the words, I'm coming. Like, and she's kind of like running, like she's charging off somewhere.
Do you think you would ever go do a show with random conversations about just random stuff? Or does it have to be script?
I don't think that guy goes on any show unless he can go and look at all of your work and gets a feeling that you're friendly, you know, that you're going to be sympathetic to his cause, or that he can handle you. He definitely scours them. I don't think he asks for scripts and scripted questions, but he'll go and look. Like, he would go and look at my shows and be like, oh, this guy's going to hammer me and grill me. I'm not going on there. You know, the same reason he wouldn't go on Third Phase with Dr. Greer. You know, because he already knew what Greer was going to say, because Greer had, just like I had done it, had already said it publicly. You know, but they were, you know, people confront Lou publicly because they're trying to get him to respond, but he won't. And that's the thing. He won't even block him. He just ignores him. He knows how the game is played online. He's doing that, kind of politician type thing where they just state their case, and anyone that argues with them, they just ignore and proceed as if their will is the only, or their story is the only fact. And then by the time you've done anything about it, what are you going to do? You're going to take him to the Supreme Court. You're going to sue him in the court of, the state that he lives in. What by the time anybody gets around to it, it's the next day when we're talking about what Lou's doing today, not what he did tomorrow, because the guy's always doing something, and that's just how he works, man. You can't, the guy's good. The guy is good. I have a profound respect for this fucking guy. I don't like him. I don't like what he's doing. I don't like the fact that he lies to us and that he's blatantly lying to you and me. But I have a massive amount of respect for how good this guy is at peddling bullshit. How good he could just talk in circles and spin things around. Like, dude, the guy should be a politician. He should be.
Let's think outside the box. Let's think outside the box here.
Yeah.
And let's appraise him, because what Lou is doing, he's getting the general public involved. The people that don't watch our shows or doesn't research about UFOs, these are the people that are seeing. And yes, we think it's bad, but let's think outside the box and say he's doing a good thing and he's opening other people's eyes to it. Even though it's garbage, but at least their brain is kind of clicking on, oh, maybe we're not alone. Because there's a lot of people just don't think about it at all.
I get you. Yeah. And I can understand that's a good point. And I understand that there is, if we take for as a hypothetical that Lou is responsible for the uptick in media occurrences now, then yeah, that would be true. But again, I think that gives him credit he's not due. The History Channel started 2008. The History Channel started with all their stuff, the Ancient Aliens, started pushing and really bringing it to a wider market. We had Code Express at the UK, and a lot of the UK tabloids were doing the same thing, picking up stuff and running with it. Even though they were running channels like Secure Team 10, they would occasionally run some Third Phase of Moon stuff, I think, but they stopped doing that and we're running other UFO channels, and not people like him, but they've all picked up him now since he's been out, and they picked up DeLong and TTSA and all that stuff, and when they came out. But he's just been leading the charge, and
right.
God, I don't know, man. It's just
that's what I said. Out of the box. We're going out of the box here. We're not going based on what we believe or what we see.
I just don't think he's totally responsible for it, is what I'm saying. I don't think he deserves that credit. I think it's somebody else pulling strings for him, because his story is just not good enough or have enough evidence to warrant the media attention that he's getting. It could only have come from a outside source, either political or financial, if that makes sense. Like, to get that kind of widespread media coverage, you've got to have a team of publicists working for you.
Right.
Who's paying for that? This clown ain't. It ain't coming out of his pocket. He's not even employed. He resigned from the government in 2017, and we don't know who he's been working for since then, other than TTSA when he was working for them.
Maybe no one. And this is his money. So what he's getting now is what he's getting.
I don't think anybody. The UFO podcast, the Unidentified Celebrity Review doesn't pay people to be on his show. As far as I know, even
what about Fox or all these CNN?
I'm sure they do pay certain people, but I don't know if he was paid. If I had a receipt to show he was paid, then I would say, yeah, he was paid to be on that show. But I don't know. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. It wouldn't surprise me if some of the larger shows, the first couple of years that he was working with DeLong, yeah, maybe he got paid for those appearances. But excuse me. If he was on the TTSA payroll, he got a fat payday from that, because they've soaked their investors for $30 million and paid it off in employee benefits, which was I think 6 or 8 employees they had. So yeah, you do the math. They did all that. They got all that money, and he might have got a chunk of that. Is he on the payroll right now for one of these defense industry companies? I don't know. He's never denied it. I don't think anybody's ever directly asked him if are you working for Lockheed Martin? Are you working for Northrop Grumman or any of these subsidiaries? Who are you working for right now? He went on one of the shows, I want to say it was Spaced Out Radio, and he said, you know, I've got a day job, I've got a mortgage, and I've got kids to put through college, and I've got all this and that and the other. And I'm thinking, dude, you know, what is that? You know, is he a plumber? Is he flipping pies at Domino's? Is he driving for Uber Eats? You know, like, what is the guy doing? And then a week later, he's on TMZ with Harvey Levin, and he's saying, "Oh, the DOD is threatening my security clearance. How am I going to pay my mortgage and feed my kids?" Like, wait a minute,
what?
Are you paying your mortgage now and feeding your kids now with defense industry money? Then is that what he's fucking saying? Like, how do we know? How do we know? Nobody will ever ask him directly, and he'll never go on a show that where they will, you know. So,
you think so? You think we would just avoid it?
Well, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Lou, come on my show, dude. If you have nothing to fear, if the truth has nothing to hide, and you are sincere, make a believer out of me. And if you can convince me, you can convince anybody. But I will ask for some proof. And not your word. I don't take anybody at their word. Nobody. I trust them, but I verify, right? There's a difference between a statement or an opinion and a fact. You know, we have certain facts. You know,
he's voicing the facts. He's not saying, in my opinion, or
no, he isn't. Like he's going on these shows and he's saying the government's been doing this, and so is Jeremy the fucking liar Corbell. Government's been lying to you for 70 years. Demand that Congress acts. These people work for you. Well, holy shit, haven't we been saying that the whole time, man? Haven't you been listening? People have been saying it about money. They've been saying it about UFOs. They demand that Congress works for them, but we all know that they don't. They work for the big industries. They work for the people who donate the money. It's all on the public records, and it all changed with the PACs in 2010. Citizens United versus the FEC. Speech, it's USA, whatever, versus the FEC killed it. And that was the super PACs. And after that, the little guys don't get anything but the bill. That's it. Everybody else gets to donate a little bit of money to politics and gets represented. And we just get to foot the bill every year, you know, and they just take it right out of your out of your frickin' paycheck. You know, you don't even get a say. So are we represented? I don't feel represented. I don't. I wrote a letter to Senator Wyden in Oregon and asked him about the 180-day report. I'm fixing to write him another one and tell him how disappointed I am in that report and ask him as my duly elected representative if he's going to take that garbage. And if he is, probably going to lose my vote, you know? I mean, because that's how I feel about it. That's what else can I do? But aren't we supposed to have a representative government? I mean, we are down here. I mean, you guys have a representative government up there too. It's just, you know, things are structured differently, a little differently, you know? I mean, it's the same kind of thing. We're supposed to let people represent us, but looks like we have somebody else back in the green room.
Oh.
And that's Angel Wings. Angel Wings is going to come on out. Let's see what's going on here. It looks like there was it's gone. Miss Angel Wings, how are you doing tonight? Hello. What do you think about Lou Elizondo? Did you hear what we were talking about?
Yeah, I haven't really followed him a lot because he's very skeptical. He's just, to me, not legit at all. He doesn't come across as actually knowing anything really and just following the show like everybody else.
Yeah, he says a lot, you know, but people give a lot of weight to his background in the military, sector, the Defense Intelligence Department, where he was, God knows what he was doing. But, you know, he did run ATIP for a number of years, but we got to look at what ATIP brought us, you know, under his direct supervision. Not much. You know, they haven't shown us a whole huge report. It didn't come out with anything groundbreaking. They weren't like, here's an alien craft. They funneled some money to Bob Bigelow and we got nothing for it, you know? So yeah, I don't know. But you say you've seen through him, or you felt like he was distrustful from the beginning since he first came out, is what you're saying?
Yeah, similar to Greer. Greer just comes off as all about the money, and that's it. It just, none of it seems legit at all, especially when I caught that one show where he was adding actors to everything. And I mean, when you start crossing that line, that none of it really comes off as legit.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, there's a fine line with trying to make something dramatic or entertaining and then filming a documentary, you know. And I think people have kind of blurred that line. No more. I think no one more so than Lou Elizondo, honestly. You know?
Third face. Oh, sorry.
I don't. They're doing good things with
I-
Third Faith right now. They're really doing good things over there.
They are. I can't really say much, but yeah.
Yeah, they're
I
trying
guess
to
they
bring
are.
new and fast stuff out, you know, and they get a hard time from some stuff that they may have or may not have done in the past, you know, and I can understand that too. You know, ufology is kind of a I never forget type of a subject, right? Like once somebody burns you, you're always going to remember, you know, but you know, but you got to kind of look at what people are doing nowadays and have they made changes and things like that. And, you know, in that end, you know, like I kind of have given a clean slate to people like Tyler at Secure Team 10. You know, I won't go watch his stuff or support his channel, but I'm not going to, you know, go out of my way to, you know, troll him or talk about him or anything. Like whatever, you can do him and I'll do me, you know, like I don't really care.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. So, yeah, but you know, someone like Elizondo here, I need to come out and say something, you know, and I heard what you were saying there, Angel Wings, about Dr. Greer. A lot of people feel that way. And on a lot of subjects, I agree, you know, like I do agree with some of what Greer, most of what he said actually in his last documentary, but there are some things that I wish he hadn't have really gone into, the CE5 things, you know, and you said the money, you know, it gets sketchy when people are in it for the money, you know, like you always got to ask, but you know, we're a capitalist world. Everybody's in it for the money at some point, you know, if you're not in, you know, financially independent and you can turn a blind eye to it, then you can say that you're above that. But all of us who work for a living are in it for some kind of money, you know. Anyhow, let's get rid of Lou the Pooh off of the screen here. I'm tired of looking at him. We'll get rid of him.
Yeah, that was a good Tommy the Troll sketch, man. That's great. That was the great. Yeah, that really made my day when I seen that. It was great.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing some more Tommy. You know, he's a good character, and you know, he can approach some of these you know, difficult and dark subjects and make them funny, you know, like, and it's good to do, you know. You don't want to be too dark, you don't want to be down too much, you know. And with all of the, and that's something somebody said about Lou Elizondo. They're like, oh, you mean that guy who's always so serious and is on the TV? Like, come on, man. I mean, ultimately, he's talking about an unknown at best and trying to make a case that it's a threat. You know, there's no tangible evidence. We're not talking about UFOs flying up and blasting buildings and sinking ships here. You know, he's talking about, oh, these could potentially be a threat. So, yeah. I'm going to give a quick shout out to people who are in the chat, since I've been largely missing most of the chat through this. And I apologize for that. If I missed any important messages in the chat, it wasn't on purpose. I've just been focusing on running the show that I wasn't supposed to run today and to just keep things moving for everybody. But let's see. Blue Chicken's here. Hey, what's up? Blue Chicken in the house. Captain Corrosive is here. Mr. Bubbles is down there. Gutter Gawker's back. He's been coming and going all day. He was in here chatting with us earlier. We got Game Veto too. Mr. Game Vet's here. Who else is in the chat? Anybody else in there chatting? Dark Sky. Yeah, Blue Chicken. I like Blue Chicken, man. I'm going to get that guy to go on a chat stream with me one day, man. Blue Chicken.
You hear that, don't you? I know he hears it.
Yeah, he's just going to avoid it. He's like, nope, don't want to do it. IR Film is here and gone. A couple of people have come and gone. But, you know, thanks for sticking out. It was kind of a, you know, we didn't know what was going on earlier with the Alien Girl stream. Still don't know what's happened to Amy. I haven't heard from her, but I hope I hear from her soon. And it's something simple like she fell asleep, you know.
Or life got in the way, you know.
Yeah, something simple. I hope she's all right. She's not stuck in her car somewhere, or, you know. Yeah, so hopefully we hear from her soon. Betty Double Click Chick just popped up in the chat as well.
Oh, Betty, yeah. It's around that time for them, right?
Yeah. This I gotta play this one again, guys. I call it the talking head, and I'm so sorry, but I have to do this one more time.
Tucker within our airspace, and they can outmaneuver, outperform anything that we seem to have. Their mode of transportation seems magical to us.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you just gotta get out of your system once in a while, you know. Just saying.
I promise I will not do it again. I will not.
Well, don't promise something you can't really keep. Like,
yeah, not on this stream, at least.
Hey, it's your show. You can do whatever you want.
If Tommy the Troll comes swaggering in and plays it for you, then you're on your own. I mean, that's not me. Looks like Stu Gerson showed up. Stu, and Dark Sky Files is in the house as well. I don't know. Do we have any cool UFO footage to look at recently? I haven't seen anything super exciting in a while. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is kind of. We usually rely on the third phase or someone, right? So.
Yeah, Third Phase has been bringing out some really good stuff, and nightly, they're bringing out new things and going back through old files and bringing up stuff that, needed to be talked about again. And, they're doing all kinds of different things. And as far as news sightings, those are kind of the ones that I go to. I go to Third Phase and look there. I mean, obviously I go and look for my own sightings, but I spend a good 20 to 30 minutes every morning just scouring the internet for UFO sightings. I've got some Google alerts set up and some different sites that I go and check. But you'd be surprised, like I said, the more and more I look at these things, I'm like, I look at it and I kind of feel like Richie, man. I'm like, I look at the one and I'm like, oh, that's a balloon. I look at another and I'm like, that's a drone. That's a satellite, again, you can't prove any of it, but you just kind of know, like you say, your intuition tells you, and you go with that. That's the best you can do in this field. It's just kind of go with, go with your gut.
I recently got not a good picture. I don't know. It's actually hard to get a good picture of one, but I got a picture of a UFO too. But the funny thing is, it's there a lot, and you can tell it's something completely different out of the ordinary because it's like right at dusk. It's super bright, and it's like the only light you see because it's not dark out yet to see all the rest of the lights. So it just kind of hangs out kind of obvious. And then so I did take a picture of it. I managed to blow it up. And it starts out as like a crescent. And then it goes into an orb. But it's not that impressive. It's just a white light.
Yeah. Well, if it's an area that's familiar to you, then you should notice things that are out of the ordinary because you're used to seeing that area, if that makes sense. And that's probably why your eye was drawn to it in the first place, because you noticed something on a subconscious level that was, shouldn't have been there. And it's good that you filmed it. It's hard sometimes to tell with filmed footage, is it handheld? You get no real good sense of depth. You could be seeing the light from a distant galaxy or the light from a drone. And one of these items could be as close as hundreds of feet from you. And the other could be, it could be light years away. You know what I mean? So it's hard to tell sometimes. Now, if it's moving, that's the biggest indicator, the way that things move, because you'll start to learn how satellites move, how planes move, how drones move. And if you see something that doesn't move like one of these objects, then you're like, hey, it's not moving like that. That's the biggest thing. Anything that's moving out of the ordinary. But if you film something, definitely put it up on YouTube and, tag it with the keywords and stuff so that people can take a look at it. People like me, because I go and look for stuff like that. And if nobody uploaded it, I'd have nothing to look at.
Yeah. Well, I've been seeing a lot too that I don't know if you've seen UFO Institute, but they have stuff up like almost every other day.
Yeah, and I will go and look at the public postings on the MUFON site, and there are hundreds of UFO sightings uploaded to just MUFON every day. So you've got all these different places to look, and that's where the challenge of someone like myself or Third Phase of Moon or Richie Goofon, we all have these challenges because there's so many different places to look. And yes, you could just go to Google and type in UFO, but if you do that nowadays, you're going to see 30 pictures of Lou Elizondo. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something a little bit more fresh. I'm looking for something new. And so you have to get a little creative in the way that you search. And I do. I spend a good 20 to 30 minutes every morning just looking for UFO sightings and footage, and anything that I see that's interesting, I snag up and put into my files. And, you know, when I get enough of them, then I'll make a UFO sighting video, or in the cases where I have people write in, or people who have sightings of their own, like you might have a sighting, or Game Vet might have a sighting they want me to take a look at, then I'm going to take a look at that for the channel as well, you know. But anything that I see that's interesting, I'm going to bring out. Yeah, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Curiosity that really got me was Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch, if you've heard of that, that seems to be like a main area supposedly of a lot of sightings and a lot of just crazy things going on in general.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who've gotten into Skinwalker Ranch. Bob Bigelow owned it for a while and was supposed to be out there researching. You know, the owner before him, I think, had some sort of a research setup out there. And I think are they not currently filming a History Channel program out there, I think, or a live stream program, I think, like a YouTube style live stream. I'm not sure, but that site has got something to it. And I have to wonder, you know, like, how much of that is sort of perpetuated by urban legend or myth, you know, or it's grown because of that. But there had to have been something there originally. And I don't know enough about the location myself, if it's a, you know, if it's a Native American site, or if it goes back further than, you know, colonial history or not. But I would be real curious to see what's going on there, or maybe to go spend some time there myself. You know, there's something to the place. And I have to wonder if there's other spots around the world that, you know, that are like that, kind of hotbeds for activity that we just don't know about. Maybe there's spots that are in a rural part of the country, or where people didn't know about it, you know, or maybe on a small island somewhere or something, you know. Ooh, that sounds like a good story for a film. You shipwrecked on an island, and it's just some weird island full of ghosts and spirits and aliens.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, like, oh shit, man, out of the frying pan and into the fire. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what happens, you know. Like Buddy had asked me about Lou earlier, and I will give Lou the benefit of the doubt on certain things, but I'm always looking at him sideways, because I just feel like he lies all the time and he can't prove anything. So if he can't prove it, I'm going to question it, you know. And you know, you were talking about having some documents, and I've got a pretty good file of what exists of public information that's known about him, you know. And so whenever I hear of something new and someone talks about a new piece of footage, and I don't mean the live streams, I mean the documents, you know, like he's been on 1,000,001 live streams and said 1,000,001 things. You couldn't possibly catalog all that, you know. Google would have a hard time keeping track of what this guy said. But you know, I do have the choice bits, and as far as all of his documents, as far as anything that he's released, I've got all that stuff, and it's not much. It's pretty flimsy. I could go over it in like a 10-minute video, you know. Let's I'm gonna oh yeah, did you want to say something? Go ahead, Will.
Well, yeah, because you said something earlier. Just go back a little bit. You said you would get a sighting, a UFO sighting, from someone, and then you would do research and make a show out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a sighting, and I don't know if I mentioned it to you. It was a drip-shaped craft, metallic drip shape, and it flew over my house where I live, and this is 2014, and I seen it like it's clear as day. It was sunset, and I seen it. I know what it was. My wife was beside me, but these drip-shaped crafts that I sighted, the only image I could find was on Third Phase Archive, and I still trying to find it. And there was an old Catholic painting with it. It's the only time I've seen it.
When you say drip, do you mean kind of like the Flight of the Navigator ship?
No, like a drip, like a water drip.
Like a teardrop or a drop of water. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
And with the point then, when they were moving, would the point be towards the rear, the bottom, or the top?
That's right. At the rear. So the ball, the rounded end was leading the way. It was going, I would say, in my understanding where true north is, it was going true north. So what I've done over time, over these years, is always search Google Maps or images, or Google Earth, and search that direct, like the way it was going, to see if it would have went into like some kind of section, because they say that they use the old lava tubes and stuff to travel, and I'm thinking that would be a perfect shape to travel those lava tubes, right? As a drip,
a teardrop
like
shape would be
right?
beneficial for a number of things, like underwater
Right.
travel. Yeah,
And
or
now
maybe
everybody's seeing these orbs, and I'm like, oh my, maybe these are the drip shaped crafts that everybody's seeing. Or
how big would you, if you had to guess at the size of the craft, how big would you say it was?
I would say it was almost like a minivan, if not bigger, because it was pretty low. Like there was little wings at the tip of it, like little slits for wings.
So it did have some sort of stabilizer or something. Then, like it had a wing. It wasn't like a truly like a sphere or.
Yeah, but there was no seam to it. There was no seams. Like you know what I mean. There was no plates attached. It was a solid. And these little, and that's why the little wings, like these little bumps, really stuck out on it, because that was the only spot that it really. I'm like, oh.
I can envision it in my head right now. You've got a teardrop, like a teardrop that's sideways, but like
it's on an angle, so I can see it's.
Yeah, but it has like letters on the back
and a little bit on the side.
If you were looking at it sideways, it would look just like a flat teardrop. But if you were looking at it from the top, it would look like the back end of the teardrop flared out into like a tail section, right? Like, or had little wings or something.
The metal just like kind of goes into a tip, and then the little ends of that tip on the side, the one side, I can't say it's on the other. I'm only assuming that's on the other side, is the little wing. So I'm thinking there's another one there on the other side. And I remember seeing this drawing somebody did with that type of craft, and it would land on the tip end. It would come down on the ground, and the legs would come out, and that's their portal. Like that's how they get through. That's their stairs, and it would drop close to the ground. The legs would come out. The legs will like shrink down for the ship to touch, right?
Yeah, like
so that people can get out. Yeah,
landing gear.
Right.
That's kind of crazy, man. And it does.
Yeah, no, and then people are seeing these orbs, and they keep seeing them. And they keep.
It sounds like the flight of the Navigator, man. And I can't help but wonder again, like I've talked about this before, if those ideas for some of those films were based upon something that was witnessed in reality, because it does, like the way that it moves and lands, like the stairs forming out of almost like a liquid metal, like that all of that, that's crazy.
I didn't see it land. It just flew north, and then, like I said, the only evidence I have is third phase. They had somebody Google Street Viewed it, took a snapshot, and sent it to them. And I remember the image like clear as day. What they see, I'm like, oh my god, that's the image. That's what I seen over my sky. And
that's interesting, and it was caught on Google Street View.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Then it wasn't altered or CGI.
I've been looking. I've been looking and looking. I can't freaking find it. It's hard to find. So,
I'd be real curious to see that if you could find it for sure. But yeah, right. I like what you said. Like there's a lot of common themes with what you've seen in other ones. It looks like Mr. Bubbles is back in the back. I'm going to bring him out into the chat. You guys can chat. I'm going to take a quick break and put a video on in the background, but I'll be back in about 3 minutes. But I am going to pop Mr. Bubbles in here, so stay tuned because we got some really cool things coming up on the next part of the stream. I don't know what they are, but they're cool. So check it out. They'll go nowhere.
Legitimately in charge of anything.
Wow, Lou, there's some more of that creepy patriot talk. It's not up for you or your defense industry.
Oh God, Lou's back on the fucking screen.
Who is truly in charge of the Pentagon? I think we have a system for that.
Mr.
Bubbles, mute your mic.
Step
back, you creepy fucker.
The last 10 years or so in the Pentagon was the UFO program, and then one that I haven't really talked much about, which is Guantanamo Bay.
You had mentioned the Gitmo portion of that. Can you mention anything else that office did?
I have to be very careful because it was very, very sensitive.
Sure.
I think one of my last evals may have been I don't know if it was released or someone had a copy of it, but in there you can see that it was definitely nuanced. It was a program that supported the White House and the National Security Council.
What? That doesn't make any sense, Lou. So you're just chilling out at Gitmo one day and somebody walks up to you and says, hey, you want to go start a UFO program? What? I don't get it, man. Actually, I do get it, because that makes perfect sense, because I was up at the hospital the other day. I was just chilling out at the cafeteria, getting a snack, and this leader of the brain surgery unit came up to me, and he said, would you like to lead our brain surgery unit? And I told him, but I have no experience at all, sir. And he says, that doesn't matter. You'll be good. Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit, ain't it?
But with all due respect, the Condon report didn't have.
Oh my God!
It didn't have Christopher Mellon. It didn't have Alex Dietrich. It didn't have Dave Fravor. It didn't have Jim Slade. It didn't have Ryan Graves.
Hello.
It didn't have me. This is, if they try to pull something like that, I've said this before, then they're going to have a real issue on their hands, because that's going to force guys like me who don't want to do it. But I
can do my camera, but it's just dark out watching it, right?
Defense industry buddies would love having a plan like
that's not creepy at all.
You could just write them a check on the taxpayer's dollar. Way to go, dude.
I was going to ask about that too.
It's night out here in Canada.
No, I'm not
Are you
looking to be the
outside?
face of ufology. I'm not looking to be the leader of anything.
Okay.
But I will run for Congress.
Yeah, there's a lot of
and I will make
feedback
sure
going
that
back
if I
and
get
forth.
in to sit there, I will make sure total transparency on everything, not just UAPs, all the other crap that I know that goes on behind these closed doors. I will make sure that people come to heel on that. And
do you have the show playing in the background there?
The answers that the American people deserve.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about
that's probably why.
Relinquishing classified information. I'm not saying that.
That could be better.
Well, then what the heck are you saying then? Because you just said this.
I will make sure total transparency on everything, not just UAPs, all the other crap that I know goes on behind.
And I'm on the headset,
doors.
so it
But I'm
doesn't
not
bring
about,
it right off the device. So
relinquishing
need
classified
a headset or
information.
something.
I'm not saying that.
No, I had to
If you're
close
not
the other
talking about
window.
releasing classified information, what are you talking about then? Because there isn't anything else that you could have. What are you going to release? Are you going to tell about secret tea
I
parties
really wish
between
you'd stop
Republicans
saying
and
Lou,
Democrats
because
that they don't
I
want the
do
world to
really
know
just
about?
want to stop them in his mouth.
Or are you going to tell us how there's people at the Pentagon who are really in charge?
And I thought you
they're
stick your
fighting.
tongue out at me. Stop that.
Well, it's funny that they brung that Lou guy in, because I usually just skip past him, honestly, because of how he talks.
You stuck your tongue out, though.
Most government officials that talk like that are BS.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Angel Wings. Like, he does talk just like a government official who's just going to give you the biggest line of bull and then walk away.
I know. Well, and Greer is so creepy looking himself. I wouldn't be surprised if he was an alien.
Hey, Angel Wings, let me ask you this. When was the first time you heard about Dr. Stephen Greer?
A really long time ago, probably like 2 years ago, maybe longer. I remember seeing something vaguely. What he was talking about is encounters of the first and fifth and third kind.
Yeah, his CE5 stuff, the close encounters of the fifth kind, CE5, all that. Yeah. That makes sense. That was like his big, a lot of people came out then because people thought it was just kind of ludicrous that you could mentally channel and summon aliens, you know? But, yeah, I was kind of curious, you know, because he has been around for what, 19 years, 20 years. He's been forcing disclosure or fighting for it, whereas Lou's only, you know, about 4 years has been around. But I was just kind of curious. What about you, Will? When did you hear about Dr. Greer first?
When? I don't know. I can't remember now. Something I have to think about.
Yeah, think about it. But we'll come back to
so
you. Bubbles?
much of it. Yeah.
Missing 411.
2001 at the original disclosure conference?
That and Missing 411.
Oh, Missing 411, which was, 2014, I want to say, or was that a little bit right around that time?
Around that time.
Yeah, that was just off the top of my head. Yeah. So
does that not strike you like the hills have eyes?
yeah, I don't know. Like I remember hearing about the disclosure press release briefly back in 2001, but I didn't really pay much attention to it because I thought it was just kind of a PR smokescreen, and I wasn't really too much into the ufology at the time. Ufology, I thought I was just kind of doing my own thing, and but I do remember hearing about it. But when we had the 20th anniversary this last year, I did a special on it, and I really watched the original presentation. And maybe that's why it was so fresh to me when Lou was saying a lot of the things that they had said in that original presentation. I was like, wow, like this guy really did borrow pieces from the Disclosure Project. He borrowed pieces from Colonel Corso's book, The Day After Roswell. He borrowed pieces of his story from everybody, and it just kind of disappointed me. I was like, man, I don't know. A long time ago when I had heard about Colonel Corso's story and read his book, I was so impressed. I was like, man, this guy's awesome. He's telling us everything. And finally, there's someone in the military who's going to spill the beans. But he had no evidence. And so at the end of the day, I had to say, I can't fight or defend anything that he says because there's not one shred of evidence that his stories are true. And that's the same boat I'm in with Lou. I really do want to believe everything that he says, but I just can't. I
have to ask you a question. I don't know if I asked you this before, maybe a long time ago. How did you get into UFO? Ufology. Yeah.
Well, I've kind of felt like there was something kind of wrong with the world, so to speak, since I was a kid. And not that there was something wrong, but that something was off. And for me, it was the technological advancements and how fast things were moving. I kind of grew up in that day and age when we were transitioning from slower computers to faster computers, the rise of the internet and all that. So I've kind of felt like it was off for a while, and it wasn't here until probably the early 2000s, 2010, I started to really put my finger on it and say, I think there might be something to this, crashed, UFO, reverse engineered technology, that sort of thing. But I've always been interested in the strange stuff, man. I've always been interested in weird stories and, shows like the Files and, books about sci-fi, time travel, things like that. And I have always been, since a child, a huge fan of science fiction, so science fiction lends itself to science, you're looking at science and fiction, so that helps. But it wasn't really till I made my channel that I would say that I got into ufology officially and started trying to investigate things for myself and make videos about them. I had always been researching things for myself because that's just what I do. If I would watch a video about something like Jeanette Island, I'm going to go out and try to figure out everything I can afterwards about it for myself and see, what's true and what's not, because it's just who I am. I question everything, but let's see. Stu Garson says, George Knapp talked about UFOs in 1989 with Lazar and John Learen. Yes, he did. He came out and brought us Bob's story from, originally. None of us would know about Bob Lazar if it weren't for George Knapp, Yeah.
Right.
I mean, people can say what they want. I know, alien scientist who I have a profound respect for has pretty much debunked Bob Lazar as far as the science part goes. But I still, just in my fiber of being, when I look at the interviews with Lou Elizondo and I feel like Lou is lying, I look at interviews with Bob Lazar and I feel like Bob Lazar is being truthful. So I have to reconcile that my instinct is telling me that Bob is being truthful, but the science tells me that he's not. And I have to wonder if Bob himself wasn't fed some kind of misinformation for some reason or another, maybe mixed with real information, and that's just as far as the Bob Lazar S4 Groom Lake theory goes. I'm not even going to speculate as to what happened with his wife and when he left Vegas and, all that stuff. I just won't go there. But
did you read that post that I made? You finally read it and gave me love. I don't believe he was in the military at all. You can
Lou?
Yeah, without a doubt, Lou. You can find that shit at pawn shops.
I suspect that he was in the military, and I do think that he worked in the Department of Intelligence or the Defense Intelligence Department. That requisition form that I showed earlier linked back to a Virginia number, which definitely could be at the Pentagon. But we do know that there are contractors who work there as well, especially contractors who have links to our special access projects, people who are liaisons for those companies who do that sort of work for us. So,
he makes no sense.
I think he did work for the military. I would just like to know what he did. I would like to know where he, most people I know who have been in the military have no qualms about telling you, I was at Fort this, I this was my MOS. This was what I did. This is, I flew these planes, whatever. And then they'll come to a point and say, no, I can't talk about that. But, Lou hasn't really mentioned what he did before ATIP. And, as far as I know, I mean, if anybody has an interview where that's happened, I'd like to see it, send me the link, because I try to catch all of his stuff, but the guy, it's a full-time job for 5 people trying to keep up on how much this guy says, like it takes a lot. But,
he reminds me of Corbell.
Well, that's because Corbell is getting all of his plays from Lou Elizondo in the same way that Tom DeLonge was when DeLonge was around,
So they'd be getting from each other and just making this big-ass triangle, try to become popular when they're lying.
Well, Lou is a trained liar. I mean, and there is no, nobody can lie like these guys do. And from what I understand, he was the best of the best, which is why I just don't understand why they brought him in for, the ATIP program. And I'm sorry. I didn't understand why they brought him in for the ATIP program.
What's the ATIP? I'm sorry.
The Advanced Aerial Threat Identification Program that he ran, which is what he was claiming was the UFO hunting group for the Pentagon, but it really wasn't. It was something else.
So he pretty much lied about that too, then.
Yeah, this is a document that I was talking about earlier. This is where he applied to get the 3 pieces of footage that he released for the TTSA: Go Fast, Gimbal, and FLIR. And you'll notice here that his office is listed not as ATIP, but is listed as the NPSMS.
Oh, wow.
And so when he filed for this footage, this is after he worked for ATIP. And oops, I didn't want to bring that up.
Yeah, he did.
No. And the what was that? I had a list of what that meant somewhere. Oh, NPSMS, the National Program Special Management Staff. National Program Special Management Staff.
But special for what?
National Program Special Management. Well, we know that special access programs are the top secret programs at the Pentagon that are responsible for the growing amount of missing money from the budget. One can assume that a special management program system or staff is the staff who runs those programs. I'm not sure. It sounds to me like a dusty office where they put people in between, moving them around from one position to another. Yeah.
Well, it kind of makes sense.
But the JS, where did I find that? Well, this document has been released in a number of forms. This was the unredacted form, which I feel comfortable releasing because the telephone number on there just goes to a dead PO box at the Pentagon. But
don't call the number, guys.
I already called it. It just goes to a mailbox that won't is full or something. It's like won't it said that it won't accept the
that's how they bug your phone. That's how they bug your phone is tapped now.
No, they bug your phone when you buy a smartphone. It already comes pre-bugged. They don't have to bug your phone anymore. They haven't had to do that since 2007.
Well, there you go. That's a 2007 number. That's how they used to bug your phone. They call it in, and then you go to a PO box, and you're like, not. But that in reality is they drop a code in your phone so that they can hear what you're saying.
Like, why bug your phone? I find that just, and I'm sorry.
Because information is power.
Yeah, they don't have to. Google does it for them, and they just get away with it.
Information's power. That's all it is.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, but
I'm
again,
trying so hard not to swear.
I don't care if they're bugging my phone. I'm not talking about anything that's illegal. I'm just having an opinion. That's it. Like,
you know what? It's not always about legal or illegal. Yeah. It's not always about that for that information. It's just information in general. And they can use that information any way they see fit. So if it means advertisement or the way to push product or, to incriminate you or to whatever, they're going to use that information. Information is power. That's where you get all the money from.
And that works with apps as well, like gaming apps. Like they want access to your videos or your photos, your phone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My mom swears she hears a clicking in her phone once in a while. You can hear when someone's tapping in, or if suddenly you have a strange connection because someone's listening in.
Yeah, but then again, they don't even have to do that anymore. I mean, Snowden pretty much proved that to everyone, that they're listening on anything that goes over the internet, which is everything nowadays. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Here's
some other documents.
Snowden
is privacy.
Yeah, in a sense it is. But Snowden, you could tell he was true because this guy ran. He ran from the government. You don't get Lou running.
Yeah.
You don't see Lou running. You don't see Richard Greer running.
Well, Lou's
right.
Lou's a lying asshole.
Well, there
I
you
agree.
go. So
this was another one of the documents that came out with the chain of requests. So this kind of shows Lou's state of mind and his intent. Like he's talking about in this section, he says, I just want to confirm that removing the metadata from the videos will make them unclassified. And he says, please feel free to move forward with the release. And he's talking to somebody who works at the Pentagon. Thank you sincerely, my friend. If it is easier for you or more streamlined, then please consider our request for unrestricted release. However, my intent is to maintain positive control, but I know it's a bit unique of a situation. So whichever is easier for you and quicker. Now that's interesting. Why is this such a unique situation? Because he's not, and it is because he's working for this national program, special staff, whatever, blah, 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 and he's not actually working for ATIP. He's not working for any UFO program, but he's requesting UFO footage, and he's openly admitting that it's some kind of special situation that they all know about. So that tells us that there's more people there. It wasn't some clandestine thing that they were doing. They all knew he was going to take this footage and was going to try to, take it over to TTSA and do something with it. Like, where's the secrecy there? But
isn't that same shit that fucking Corbell did?
What's that?
Isn't that the same shit that Corbell did?
Yeah, like take a still shot and release one frame and then release one of those photos. I believe that Corbell probably got his footage from Elizondo, that he may have had those pieces. But I'm a little questioning of that because I think that if Elizondo had those two pieces, I just can't see him hanging on to them for 2 years. It's more likely that somebody else gave them to him to help vet or give credibility to Corbell when they brought him in after Tom DeLonge, jumped ship. I think that they needed to give him something to give him some credibility, and it's worked. The guy went from 20,000 followers on Twitter up to 100,000 followers. It's working. And the reason they want to do that is because he just goes and puppets everything that they say. Every Mystery Wire article that George Knapp writes, he just tweets every time he goes on these live streams and just says the same exact things that, Lou Elizondo's saying. He just does it. He does it all. He's just a little Lou. He's a little Lou. Jeremy Corbell.
I got a good one for you. If you had the chance to interview on a live show, Lou or Corbell, which one would you choose?
I would take Jeremy Corbell over Lou Elizondo any day, but that's only because you would get something out of Corbell, because Corbell, I think, actually believes what he's being told. You know, he might be a little naive or be like kidding himself, so to speak, but I think he actually believes what he's being told and what he's saying. I think Tom DeLonge fell into that same category. I think Tom DeLonge believed what he was saying. Lou Elizondo, I think he knows that what he's saying is garbage. I think he knows that he's pulling an op. I think he knows that he's manipulating people like Corbell to do what he wants, and that's exactly why he did it. You know, it wasn't a coincidence that those two hooked up, nor was the timing. You know, Corbell had been around for a long time. He was doing the Bob Lazar thing in 2017, and they could have gone to him then, but ignored him until Tom DeLonge ran, and they needed him.
Wouldn't you like to bust Lou live?
I would like to actually talk to Lou live, because I would ask him those very hard and challenging questions, and I would talk to him the same way that I talk to you guys about him, without anger, but I wouldn't take any bullshit off him either. If he started to double talk, I would hold him right to task and say, no, sir, you are not. As he likes to say, I would make him come to heel on that one. You know, I just wouldn't accept it. And he knows what I'm talking about. He knows that there are people out there that can get a double talker to stay on task or expose to everyone that that's exactly what they're doing. And I am that guy. I will hold him to task. He won't ever come near me. He won't respond to my tweets. He won't do anything. He will ignore me. You know, now, will he have some of his friends in the FBI show up on my doors someday? Maybe. You know, I don't know what he's capable of. I have no clue. But, you know, I have nothing to fear from Lou Elizondo or an intelligent and truthful debate with him. Nothing whatsoever, you know.
I mean, just from the people, so they know that he's full of shit. I mean, we all know it. Now it's time to, you know, let the air out and say, hey, you're full of shit.
The way that the intelligence community operates, and this is what scares the crap out of me about them, especially with them making a threat narrative attached to UFOs. If something is possibly a threat, you treat it as a threat. That's what they do. So if Lou could possibly put himself in a jeopardizing position by going on a live stream like mine or Richie's or Third Phase, he won't do it. If there's even the slightest chance that he could be put in a compromising position, he won't go. This is how the intelligence service works. This is how you get things done and can guarantee results. Because you're saying if something is even a minor threat, I'm going to squash it. If there's a fire ant hill out there, I'm going to call down a hellfire rocket on it. You know what I mean? They overkill. And that's just what's worked, you know. But this is a new game and this is a new world, you know. And PR is not boots on the ground, napalm and grenades. It's completely different. Public opinion's different. And Lou's talked himself into a corner. He's the proverbial person who's been given enough rope and hung himself, you know. And
when a person lies, I posted this in one of your the last video. When you tell a lie and you back it by a lie and then you get caught, what's the chances you're going to lie to back up the lie that you fucking made? 100%.
If you haven't watched the movie Spy Game with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt in it, then you need to. There's a very, very, very telling story about what the espionage and intelligence community does and how they do it. And one of the things that Robert Redford is teaching to Brad Pitt, he's taking him under his wing and teaching him how to be a spy. And he tells him to go talk to a woman and to ask her, you know, 4 personal questions about herself and to get 4 personal pieces of information, which he does. And then he comes back and he tells him, he's like, oh yeah, I got her dress. You know, I asked her where she bought the dress. I asked her why she chose that color and something else. And in the process of doing this, he revealed to this woman, he says, I have a girlfriend. I want to buy her that dress. He's like, why did you tell her that? He's like, well, I was trying to get her to tell me where she bought the dress. He's like, yeah, but that's a lie that you told someone that now has to be true. Now, every time you talk to her later, you have to remember that lie and every detail and what you said. And that's what he's saying. You know, the intelligence agents, they will lie, and they lie quite frequently, but they're going to structure their lies around a truth that is easy to remember. that they can always fall back on and be like, oh, this is what I meant. This is what I meant. This is what I meant, you know, and talk their way around it. And then that's where the double talk comes in. That's where the, hey, if I just sit here and explain to you enough, you're going to agree with me. And that's what Elizondo does. You'll notice, like, even on the Green Vault, where he asked him directly about, I don't know if I played the rest of that clip, but I should play it. He says something, and Elizondo compliments John Greenwald, and he says, hey, man, your name is known around the Pentagon for all of your FOIA requests over the years. Like, you're feared in the FOIA office, you know, and John chuckles and laughs. And I was like, Lou, you fucking asshole. You do that to every single, you complimented Dave Scott's beard. Screw you, dude. You find a way to get in good with everybody, you know, and that's exactly what he does. He comes in good and he's like, hey, I like your hair, or you said this and I agree with that. Oh, somebody was asking about Lou Jimenez and the unidentified celebrity review, what the connection was there. There's no connection. That's just Lou greasing it, man. That's Lou finding out how to, you know, hey, he's going to play the Cuban connection with Lou Angeles, you know. Hey, we're buddies. We got something in common. You know, that's what these manipulators do. He's going to come in and be like, hey, I'm your pal. Look, we have this in common. Oh, by the way, I need you to think this. I need you to think that UFOs are real and they're a threat, you know. And you're like, well, he's my friend. Why shouldn't I think it? You know, he's trying to get people who are right on the fence, not hardcores. He knows he's never going to get somebody like me. He's not going to get somebody like me to believe him. He doesn't care. That's why he won't engage me. But he wants people who are in the middle of the road who could go either way. That's who he wants. And he's good. He's getting them. He got UFO Twitter, you know, or a certain segment of them. So
how would you feel if I took his ass on Steve Wilkos and gave him a polygraph as if to he's lying?
If you could get Lou Elizondo to show up to Maury Povich or Steve Wilkos for a lie detector, I'll pay for the flights. I'll pay for the show.
I'll bring the baby.
The video. I'll buy the pizza. Whatever. Let's make it happen. You know,
I'll be the one in distress.
Yeah, but he just doesn't do it.
Baby. No, that's his baby. He has to pay support, right?
I haven't seen a single show that Lou's been on that could even be considered partially, you know, questioning. Pretty much, and like I said, there were some shows like John Greenwald on the Black Vault. I thought was going to rip him apart, and he just didn't. He just took everything that he said at face value and was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, well, okay," and maybe that's just like being a neutral interviewer, you know. But part of being a neutral interviewer for me, I mean, or being an interviewer to me, is calling people out when you know they're lying. If you know somebody's lying to you and is trying to spread propaganda, then you need to confront them about it and say no, or at least ask them to furnish some kind of evidence. If you're a responsible journalist, you know, if you want some kind of integrity, you know, in my field, everything is integrity, everything. And if I put out like the footage that Jeremy Corbell put out and said that I had some nameless, you know, military, officer that gave it to me and I couldn't tell you who they were to protect my source, nobody would believe me. I would be laughed off of YouTube. I'd be laughed off of Twitter, and people would call me a faker and a hack, you know. But Jeremy Corbell got a pass. Tom DeLonge got a pass because he had Lou Elizondo. But now we're finding out that Lou lied and that he wasn't supposed to have that footage and that he was putting all this together way back when he wrote those emails to get that footage. You know, here he is talking to these people and telling them that he's going to use this footage to make a program when he knows full well that he's going to walk on stage with Tom DeLonge and tell the world the phenomenon is real.
Because they have each other's back. That's why.
Yeah, well, he was told to do that. Lou didn't just decide one day to walk out of the Pentagon, blow off a 22-year career for a flimsy frickin' lie to get some junky footage that doesn't even show anything and try to release it. You know, I mean, come on. If he was going to come out with some radar data or some good, you know, like, what do they call them? The NORAD 5 spy satellites, some high-resolution imagery on something, that would be different. But the guy didn't. He came out with 3 pieces of footage, one of which had been leaked on YouTube in 2004 originally and was taken down in 2007, had sat on YouTube for 4 years. The Nimitz, the Tic Tac footage, that was released on YouTube in 2004. It sat there. People saw it, like 6,000 views before it was taken down. Gee, I wonder why it was taken down.
What do you think about this,
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, like, the media is showing those black and white footages from such a long time ago, and it's like, seriously, you're using that? That's kind of stupid.
Yeah, or it's color footage like that looks like it was shot on a potato, as the Blake and Brent Cousins would say. A potato phone. Which is those old, flip phones from 1997. Or I'm sorry,
That's one
2001.
of those victim phones that they show you shit. It's like, that's redundant
Yeah.
now. Everyone's got better footage than you.
Yeah, they have it. In the Agua de Puerto Rico incident, the Customs and Border plane got FLIR footage of the UFO. There was radar data from the ground-based radar stations, and multiple pilots saw the thing, and the flight traffic controller saw it flying over the airfield and stalled the plane for 15 or 20 minutes, delayed their takeoff, a cargo plane that was on the runway. That's the type of footage and sightings that we should be talking about. And we know that the military, in the Tic Tac case, let's talk about that one. Gary Voorhees, who's one of the witnesses from that site, I asked him on Twitter. I said, "What do you think about this?" Because I'd asked if ATIP or if the United States military didn't have a UFO reporting program, how did people know to show up at the Nimitz to confiscate all the CNC data, hard drives, and the flight recorder data and the recordings of all that incident? And he said, well, we were tracking this UFO for over a week. So they had over a week's worth of tracking data on that. Why didn't Lou give us that? He had it. He had access. He could have asked for that to be declassified. They could have shown us some real solid data from the, I forget what they call it, the Osprey. It's a big, or not the Osprey, not the U-2. It's the big giant plane that's got the radar dish on top.
I know what you're talking about.
There was one of those Hawkeye, they call them. The Hawkeye was in the air and had great data. That's what everyone's saying. Where's the Hawkeye data? Well, freaking give it to us. Declassify it. We've beaten the fucking Tic Tac UFO to death, and everybody's talked about it. There is thousands of hours of footage about that sighting online, from Dave Fravor to Alex. Sorry, I forgot her last name. All of the different witnesses have talked and talked and talked and talked. I don't want any more talk. I want some data, or it's BS. I'm sick of hearing people talk. I'm sick of it. Give me some real data. Give me some new footage. Give me some radar information. Show me a file that showed that somebody investigated this and what they came up with, or stuff it, man. I'm sick of this new disclosure where it's just like, here's a little morsel of cheese. Now I want you to be happy with that. No, I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with Corbell's footage. I'm not happy with Lou Elizondo's footage. It's crap. It's crap. I look at better every morning shot by civilians on the MUFON site and on other sites on YouTube, on different sites all over the world where people are really trying to see these things and do it. They've got all this information, the most sophisticated technology that we could have to track and try to identify these things. And they have all of that information. They won't give it to us. They won't let us see it.
This question is for WC. You were talking about this teardrop, and this is why I popped on StreamYard. That does sound like the movie Flight of the Navigator. Silver steps coming down, diving into the ocean. And I mean, there's no steam. Without a doubt, are you sure you didn't have a dream about watching the movie and then it's just like,
and I wish it was like that, and it wasn't. It was during the day. It was sunsets, and I know what I seen flying over the sky. I did not see what you're like. You got to understand, I'm not Catholic, so it's not like I've seen this Catholic painting. That's what it's encouraged me to research about it, get into it, and start my channel and try to get it out there. And maybe one day I will post a video on the drip shaped craft, because I'm very fascinated with it, and I want to know more about it and more about what are people really seeing. And these triangular crafts and everything else. This is what got me into it. This is what got me into doing this.
Well, I'm not denying you that you saw something, just for the fact that you said teardrop, and then it had a pretty big ass, and then it was just a point right away.
No, but I have my wife. My wife could testify with it, right? So I have an eyewitness. So now my next goal is get somebody that's outsourced around the area around that time. I want to get radar data. I want to go to the airport that's near here and see if I could get that information. But it's old information at this point. 2014, will they still have it? I don't know.
Yes. Yes, yes, they will. Yeah, they
And
probably
can I
will
get
have it.
that? Could I get that information? Would they give it to
Do
me?
you do TikTok at all?
I'm not sure what the process to do that in Canada would be, but I would guess that there's probably a similar process to the FOIA request that you could do to request it. Yeah, but I would be surprised if they didn't keep that stuff indefinitely. Yeah, I mean, flight traffic logs, things like that. They're never gonna be like, oh, I want you to look up an airplane and see if so and so. They keep all that. I mean, you can look at most of that stuff up on Flight Radar 24 actually, if it's an aircraft that was running with a transponder, but that won't be radar data. You know, that's archived transponder data. But yeah. And as far as the teardrop goes, people have been seeing teardrop shaped UFOs for a long time before the Flight of the Navigator came out. And
Really?
I actually, there's a YouTube video you should watch, Bubbles, about how and why they made that ship in that shape. And some people have speculated that it was based upon a real sighting that people had. And that's why other people have seen it before. And they're like, oh, you're talking about Flight of the Navigator. You're like, no. Flight of the Navigator was talking about us. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it might be something like that, that they got the idea because they did not have an original UFO. I think they were told by someone, and it might be a similar case to where people speculated that Spielberg was read in on certain things for writing his scripts like E.T. and things like that, that maybe fiction was not so fictional, or at least was loosely based on reality. But look up those teardrop sightings because they definitely occurred before Flight of the Navigator came out in 1984. I know that for a fact.
Well, thank you for the information because nobody really talks about it. Because when I talk about it, nobody knows about it. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, we hear stuff." Well, okay, what? Like, tell me. And so this is great.
And it was the first thing I said too. I was like, "You mean like in Flight of the Navigator, right?" I
didn't know that though. I didn't know Flight of the Navigator. I've never watched it, so that's something I'm gonna have to look at.
I wasn't trying to come at you as being like mean or rude or anything.
We're just discussing it here.
And you saw those stairs. I immediately thought, well, Flight of the Navigator, because that has the same thing.
No, like I said before, the conversation that we talked about that is that it's only speculation at this point because I only seen it flying by. And I said, well, why would it have those little wings? Oh, well, I remember seeing an image, that had the tip end down and it came down and the legs came out and it contracted. So the tip was closer to the ground and people exit the craft. That's only based on what I allegedly seen. What I actually seen was the drip shape flying across the sky, which is like boggled my mind. It's just like, I wish I had the camera there. But I was so in awe, I couldn't reach my phone. Couldn't reach that camera.
I've seen some old footage from the 50s where they were testing a Zeppelin body balloon that looked similar to a teardrop shape that was rounded in the front, and then towards the back it would kind of look like a plus, if you can envision that had a vertical and a horizontal stabilizer on the end. And it's not that's what I think that you saw, because a Zeppelin or anything couldn't move the way that you described it, but more that maybe the Zeppelins that were created in that fashion were designed aerodynamically after something else that you maybe did see, if that makes sense.
Well, it is, but it's in the paintings, right? This is where it got me into viewing the old Catholic paintings, because it's the only when I Google it. At first, I thought Google has a new drone, right? I'm like, it has to be a Google thing. So I Googled
They got a few weird ones, and Amazon's got some. Amazon's got a blimp that does drone delivery that have drawn up. I don't think it exists yet. It's still theoretical, but they were talking about a big Zeppelin that would have a bunch of packages underneath it, and then these little drones would fly up and grab the packages and fly them down to people's houses. Like, oh my God. What were you saying, Will?
But no, that's, and I'm researching that and that's what brought me to the Catholic painting. It was the only thing that popped up. And then a year or two later, I called Third Phase Moon as a call-in and talked about it. And then probably months after or so, he posted an image, like I said, on Google Earth or Street View, so Google Street View, and there it was in the freaking sky. So this is like a recurring thing for years now. Right, so I've been just contemplating it. Just going, what the? You're right. I've called it in, and you know what I mean, just to say my UFO story, right? And I've been saying it for years. 2014.
If you've seen something like that, I would encourage you to start collecting other sightings that look like it. At least, get a text file and just grab links, or even save the videos themselves if you can. But just grabbing a text file and saving the links to the videos and a short description of what they are will save you a lot of time later, and help you look at stuff in a cohesive form. And it's something that I recommend to other people too. If you see sightings, then look for stuff that's similar to yours that might be yours, so that you can compare it. What else can we do? That's all we can really do without having access to the NORAD systems and the radars and the satellites and the Apache helicopters with FLIR systems on them, and all the cool stuff that the military and the government has. We just got to work together. So that's it. What's up, Bubbles?
I don't want to be kicked off because I don't want to troll you. Will, do you believe that certain movies come off of what the government knows, whether it be Area 51 or the government itself, like For the World, or like I said, Flight of the Navigator, something like that? Is that based off shit they fucking know? Sorry for my language. Aliens.
Save that thought. Save that thought. Hang on. Save that thought. I want to do a live stream sometime and talk about awesome sci-fi movies, and we can all discuss whether we think that they're real or not. Yeah. Yeah, because we'll talk about a few. There's a few that I want to bring up, man. It's not just Star Wars and
I wanted to get into it. That's right.
Yeah, see? Yeah, you see, we can do a whole show about that, but we're getting to the time where I need to start wrapping stuff up anyways. My tummy's starting to rumble, and my cat is digging around like, hey, where's my treats, dude? But, yeah, I want to thank everybody who's come along tonight.
I can't get my question answered?
No, next time, Bubbles. Next time, Bubbles.
Oh, you guys, mother.
I'll tell you what, I'll put you guys back in the green room, and you can talk about it while I wrap up the show. How's that?
I don't know what the hell that is.
It's when you sit in the back.
It's the back room. It's the back room. We could chit chat after.
Yeah, you guys can hang out back there too. I'll send Angel back there with you. Angel, thanks for coming by. Bubbles as well. Will, Gutter, and Buddy, everybody who came by today and stopped by to talk with us. I appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your points of views and your opinions and everything.
I'm sorry, Manny.
Do you guys want to give a shout out before I move you to the back? You guys want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Caro, I don't think Alien Girl is here anymore. I missed like half of your show because I was editing. Bye to everybody.
Bye, Bubbles.
Yeah, I just want to say a shout out to Blue there. I'm glad. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to say bye to Bruce and doing. Well, and I wanted to answer Game Bet really quick because I noticed you mentioned something in Wisconsin. Well, it just so happens I live in Wisconsin, and the UFO picture I got was actually on I-90. That's why it's not the greatest, because you can't exactly pull over on an interstate going 80 miles an hour. It was really hard to get that picture.
Yeah, it is hard to take UFO footage from a moving vehicle. Inside a glass, you get reflections, you get apparent retrograde motion where you're moving, and so it looks like the object is moving, but it's actually you moving. Like there's all kinds of factors. But good looking out, and good for you for getting what you could. That's all you can do. And thanks for coming by. I'm gonna kick you back to the back there, Angel. We'll talk to you soon. Will, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, just thanks for the super chats for Manny here and Blue Chicken. Just give a little shout out to him. Great people he is. And yeah, it's great talking to you, Manny.
Yeah, good talking to you too, Will. I'm sure I'll have you on the show again sometime soon. Take care, buddy.
Hopefully. Yeah, you too.
Well, guys, thanks for coming by and joining me here today. It was kind of an impromptu thing since things didn't work out with Alien Girls stream, but that's just the way it goes sometimes, You just got to roll with the punches. At least we got a little bit of Tommy action. We got everybody to chat and hang out. We got to see some cool dance videos and some not so cool dance videos. Yeah. So if you're watching this on the live replay, thanks for coming by as well, even though you couldn't make it for the live stream, but there's always next time. And we thank you for coming by. This has been Manny at Area 503. And I wish you all the best until we meet again. And I am out of here to continue my search for universal truth. And Tommy says,